afternoon. Big Ten college football is upon us. 56 degrees and sunny here in College Park, Maryland, as the Michigan Wolverines take on the Maryland Terrapins in CQ Stadium. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jake Singer alongside William Gregory. So glad to have you all along as we get you ready for Michigan football right here on WCBN Sports. The Wolverines had their first real test last week and going into Happy Valley and defeating the Penn State Nittany Lions 24-15. This win also came without Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, who served game one of his 3-game suspension. Nonetheless, offensive coordinator Sharon Moore stepped in and secured his second win as a head coach this season for the Wolverines. William, amazing to have you alongside me today. How did you assess Sharon Moore's coaching last weekend?
Well, he ran the football. That's point number one, and he wanted to. There were doubts about the Michigan running game. It included myself. They hadn't really put together a dominant performance. Instead, they go into Happy Valley, their toughest game of the season, toughest road environment, third road game of the season overall. And Blake Corum has his best day on the ground for the Wolverines this season. Over 200 yards rushing. Donovan Edwards almost went over the season total allowed per game by the Nittany Lions by himself. It was around 60 team rushing yards per game the Nittany Lions allowed. Michigan rushes for 227 yards instead. I don't know if we'll see the same amount of hard-nosed football as we did last week, considering this defense of Maryland is really not even in the same stratosphere as Penn State, who I think is arguably the best or the second best defense in the country.
Michigan playing the Terrapins today, and after getting off to a hot start this season, just 6-4 and 3-4 Big Ten play overall this year for Maryland. That being said, they do have a playmaker at quarterback in Talia Tungavailoa. William, what threat does Tungavailoa present for the Michigan Wolverine defense today?
Well, he is the leader actively in the Big Ten in passing yards, completions, passing touchdowns, all those kind of numbers. He is fourth in Big Ten history and completion percentage at around 66% of his passes being complete. He is a talented passer. It's just the problem for Maryland is that they haven't been able to execute. That's what head coach Mike Loxley has said. They haven't been able to execute the full complement besides Talia being excellent in the passing game. The rushing game, they really haven't had one since Anthony McFarland graduated and went to the NFL to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Defensively, they let up a fair amount of points, giving up their season high last week against Penn State. And I just think that besides Talia, they need a lot of help for him today playing the best pass defense in the country.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Just about to get underway here in College Park, Maryland. The Terrapins will kick off, so the Wolverines will receive today to start the game. Jack Howes, the kickoff specialist for the Terrapins today. Michigan in their white uniforms, white tops, white pants. Terrapins in their red tops, white pants as well. Beautiful, beautiful day here in College Park, Maryland. We have a nice one on tap for you all today. It's also senior day today here in College Park. 23 seniors were honored for Maryland. Michigan, one more home game next week against the Ohio State Buckeyes in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But before they can get to that game, the Wolverines need to pass the test of the mighty Maryland Terrapins. 15 minutes on the clock. Jack Howes tries to place the ball down to kick it away, and it blows over. So halt right there before we get started in this one.
We've got clear skies, but it's been an underrated windy day here. All these flags blowing away from the Michigan end zone at which they are set to receive.
So we have a decent crowd here. Definitely a ton of Michigan fans. William and I were both noting before we've started here when both teams were out on the field that the cheer was a little bit louder for the Michigan Wolverines than for the Maryland Terrapins, but we do still see a lot of red in the stands as well.
The ball blew over again, so they're going to have somebody hold it.
Must be really windy out there for that to be the case. So finally, fourth time try here on the kickoff.
Hold by Ty Felton, number 10.
And we're underway in this one as it's a squib kick to start this one. Samaj Morgan picks it up at the 10-yard line. He's running left. He cuts away. Then he finally gets tackled at the 15-yard line, and that's where Michigan will start their first drive of the afternoon.
We saw Rutgers not necessarily employ a squib, but a shortened sky kick in their kickoffs against Michigan. It leaves you having to return. You can't fair catch, and you're in a bit more trouble trying to escape the shadow of your own end zone.
Wolverines starting on their own 15-yard line from our vantage point. They are going to be moving the ball left to right here in the first quarter. J.J. McCarthy in shotgun formation. Blake Corum to his left. 3 wide receivers out wide. A.J. Barner in motion. McCarthy takes a snap. He hands the ball off to Corum, and Corum fights off one tackle and does not get much else as he gets stopped for about a 2-yard gain on the first play of today.
Well, and we saw that a lot for the last 30 consecutive plays against Penn State. One pass wiped off due to a pass interference, but acting head coach Sharon Moore wants to run the football today.
So they're going to call that a 1-yard gain. So Wolverines 2nd and 9 now on the 18-yard line. McCarthy now in pistol formation. He has Max Bredesen, his fullback, to his left. Blake Corum behind him. 2 wide receivers to his left, none to the right. McCarthy snaps the ball, hands the ball off to Corum once again. Corum goes left side, and he gets a few more yards and gets tackled, I believe, at the 21-yard line.
Well, and it's surprising that Michigan, with their Heisman contender, at least once was before that game last week, where only attempted 8 passes, completing 7 of them, though, that Michigan isn't throwing the ball more with McCarthy.
So 3rd and 5 from the 22-yard line here. 2 straight handoffs to Blake Corum. J.J. McCarthy still in shotgun formation. 13:47 left here in the first quarter. McCarthy, shotgun. Sends Cornelius Johnson out wide. He's looking left. He's going to go to Cornelius Johnson. Cornelius Johnson, believe, just barely has the first down.
I'm not sure. It looks like they're going to give it to him. That boundary throw is something we've seen a lot for Michigan, most likely more often paired with a rollout. It's going to be 4th down.
So it's going to be 4th and 1. Cornelius Johnson stops just short, and Michigan is going to be forced to punt from their own 26-yard line. So Cornelius Johnson wide out, getting the ball on 3rd down and cannot pick up the first down. So Tommy Doman comes out now for the Michigan Wolverines to punt the ball away, and Michigan will have a 3-and-out here on its first drive. Toman gets the snap, and he sends it away. High, booming punt as it's recovered by Maryland at their own 25-yard line. He gets a little bit of space on the 15-yard line and goes out at the 25-yard line. That is returned by Tarheeb Still, and Maryland will start on its own 26-yard line here to start its first drive of this afternoon. My apologies.
And Tarheeb Still is a dynamic player. He's a defensive back, leads Maryland in interceptions, is close to the Big Ten lead, lead the country in interceptions. I think he does have the Big Ten lead at 5 picks. And it's a Maryland unit that takes the ball away a lot. 2 takeaways per game, which ranks 1st in the Big Ten, tied for 1st in the Big Ten, 7th nationally. Doman uncorks a long one. But I wanted to go back on that last play. Cornelius outside pattern, we've seen that a lot, just didn't get enough for the first down.
Talia Tungavailoa, the quarterback for the Maryland Terrapins, in pistol formation. 3 wide receivers to his right. Running back behind him, Roman Embry gets the handoff. He goes right up the middle and gets stopped for a 3-yard gain.
Michigan last week allowed 100 yards rushing for the first time in the first half against Penn State. They hadn't done that all year, but this unit is still stout, 19 and 20 halves, having opponents not go over 100 rushing yards.
With a dual-threat quarterback in Tungavailoa, he can throw the ball, he can run the ball. They also have dominant running backs. Roman Embry, 16 attempts for 76 yards last week against Nebraska. They're going to want to feed him the ball today against a stout Wolverines defense. Tungavailoa, pistol formation. Hands the ball up to Embry, left side. He gets a few yards, and he rumbles his way to the 35-yard line. I mean, 3rd and 1 for Maryland. Now looking at the starters on the Maryland offense. Delmar Glaze, left tackle, Emilio Moran, left guard, Eric Harris, center, Gottlieb Ayedje, right guard, Connor Fagan, right tackle, Caden Prather, Ty Felton, and Jay Schwan Jones at wide receiver, Talia Tungavailoa at quarterback, and Roman Embry at running back with Preston Howard at their tight end position today. Antoine Littleton moves in motion, Tagovailoa looks left, and he finds a receiver. That's Ty Felton. That's going to be good for the first down.
And Michigan, over the past few weeks in Big Ten play, has come out kind of slow in the first quarter. They were shut out against Penn State, shut out a few weeks ago against Indiana in the first quarter. Maryland probably working off their first 25, scripted plays right now that they think will work against the Michigan defense. Michigan just has to settle in.
Michigan dealing with a lot going on, outside noise, trying just to lock in, keep a one-track mind, focus on the opponent in front of them. Tagovailoa drops back to pass. He's looking right, now he's looking left. He finds his running back, Roman Embry, and Embry finally gets stopped around the 48-yard line on the Michigan side. Tackled by Michael Barrett, 2nd and 2 for the Maryland Terrapins.
They're going to bring in a jumbo package here on the offensive line. Maybe not. That guy just kind of randomly went out there as a backup center.
Yeah, Mike Purcell came out, came right back. 2nd and 2 now, Tagovailoa. Shotgun formation, Embry to his right. He hands the ball off to Embry, and he takes a few defenders with him, and I believe he's going to have the first down to the 45-yard line. Tackled by Rayshon Benny on that play.
Benny had a great game last week. Big tackle for loss. His first fumble recovery of his career on the crucial sequence that led to the Blake Corum 30-yard touchdown run. Or excuse me, that was on the turnover and downs, the other touchdown run by Michigan to really put that game away.
So they're going to mark the ball just a few inches short of the first down marker. So it's actually going to be 3rd and inches here. Tagovailoa under center. As he rolls right, he finds his running back Embry, and Embry has the first down. Play action pass there for the Maryland Terrapins as they keep moving the chains and continue their opening drive.
Well, in a really interesting sequence there, Tagovailoa had, I think it was Corey Dyches, come up in the backfield to give the look of a tush push, a rollout, gives Tagovailoa the easy throw for the first down.
Maryland starting with 5 wide. Now they bring a few guys in. Embry to his left in shotgun formation. Tagovailoa fakes the handoff. He has a receiver wide open. That's number 6, Jayshwan Jones, and he moves the chains once again all the way down to the 29-yard line.
We talked about in the open, this passing game is very, very, just very good, historically good in the Big Ten. Tagovailoa, like I said, 4th all-time in completion percentage in the conference.
Long opening drive here, 8:44 left in the first quarter. Michigan went 3 and out. Embry faked the handoff to him. Got a receiver there for just a moment. That's going to be to Corey Dyches, who, William, you just mentioned. Dyches gets 1 yard on that completion. 2nd and 9 on the 23-yard line for Maryland. 8:25 left here in the first quarter.
Well, Dyches is 3rd in the country in receptions among tight ends. The only guy, or one of the only guys above him, is Brock Bowers at Georgia, who could very well have received Heisman votes if he didn't get hurt. That is a catch for Dyches. He hasn't been held without a catch in a game since 2021, so he's a very talented player outside for the Terrapins. Hybrid wide receiver tight end.
2nd and 9, ball on the 23-yard line. Tagovailoa, shotgun formation, Embry to his right. He hands the ball off to Embry as he's running left, and there's going to be a shoe flying off. I believe that's Mike Barrett's shoe on the last. Embry gets about 2 yards on that carry. It's going to bring a 3rd and 7 on the 21-yard line for Maryland.
And that's a big play for Michigan. Maryland's been able to stay ahead of the chains on this drive. I think that's why they've been able to keep to their script. 3rd down and 7, though, is a different proposition against this Michigan defense that's one of the best on 3rd down in the country.
Michigan fans getting loud in here. 3rd and 7. Maryland in field goal range, but Michigan just trying to get off the field here. 5 wide receivers out wide. Empty backfield for Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa dropped back to pass. He's looking right. He has to roll right now. He's running away from Braden McGregor. McGregor can't get to him. And Tagovailoa gets right out of bounds right at the first down marker. Pushed out of bounds by Jalen Harrell, and he's going to be a few yards short there.
Yeah, not exactly a generous spot. It's kind of the tougher angle for us to see, but I thought he could have reached that football over. He really didn't. He tucked it just before he went out of bounds.
And because of that, Maryland at 4th and 3 is going to elect to take the field goal here. So Jack Howes comes on for the field goal attempt.
And a new kicker, Chad Ryland, went in the NFL draft to the New England Patriots. He is no longer in Maryland, perennially one of the best kickers in the country.
Howe, kick is up, and it is good.
Just snuck in there.
So 3-0, Maryland leads the Wolverines, 6:29 left here in the first quarter. And while Michigan went 3 and out on its opening drive, Maryland has a long, grueling drive and gets a field goal out of it.
And we see that a lot. Most of the longest drives allowed by the Michigan defense all season have resulted in field goals. They just make teams earn it. They're going to keep everything in front, especially with an explosive passing attack like the Terrapins have. Michigan, though, has only trailed for 19 minutes total this season. And they're down early here in the first quarter against a Maryland team that can score. It hasn't been seen in recent weeks as they've been sliding after a 5-0 start, sitting at 6-4 now. Losing 4 consecutive games before beating Nebraska by 3 in a game filled with turnovers that really Nebraska should have won, but they threw 3 quarterbacks in that game that each threw the ball away.
And you know, to your point, Michigan, by leading, they've given up a lot of big plays this year to at least those teams that they would be leading earlier on in the season. Recently, though, they haven't been able to give up those big plays. They haven't had to give up those big plays, but giving up a long, grueling drive like this in the first quarter, definitely with the defense who has been so strong, so stout this year, we'll have to see how Michigan responds that way with the offense, not being able to really throw the ball last week. This opening drive coming out with 2 run plays and going for a pass play that was just short of the yard markers. Let's see what they do on offense here to see maybe do they let JJ air it out a little bit more, or are they just going to keep trying to run the ball and do what they really want to do?
Well, yeah, you talk about not being able to pass versus not
trying to. You're right. You're correct.
To pass. I think that Michigan fans might see, if this game goes similarly to Penn State, might see a Michigan team that's taken a step back in Jim Harbaugh's absence, but I don't know if that would be the case. I think as an acting head coach, Sharon Moore is just trying to play it a little more safe, even though we know this Michigan team can, burst out and score in bunches. And obviously the turmoil surrounding the program has to be acting on these players. But I didn't see the Penn State game as a step back from Michigan. Just a different style of play. They've been leaning heavily on J.J. McCarthy all season long, and they finally went back to the ground attack that won them nearly all their games over the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, Michigan running the ball 32 straight times to finish that game last game. And you're completely right. It's a different coach, but it's the exact same system. And this is Harbaugh's team. All the coaching staff has been able to preach that. And being able to run the ball last week, I think, gave the team confidence in general because the team has really struggled running the ball compared to the previous season. So I think being able to show that has been fantastic for the Michigan Wolverines. But obviously coming out today, I think they're going to want to get, show some balance here. Not trying to show too much before Ohio State next week and just see what works and obviously adjust as the game goes along, as we're just about to get ready for the kickoff once again. Maryland leading 3-0 here in the first quarter. Michigan defense, despite giving up a full drive down the field, does hold Maryland to a field goal. So Michigan defense probably feels good about that as Jack Howes kicks the ball away. And this time, it's a short poocher. And it's fair caught by, I believe, A.J. Barner at the 35-yard line. My apologies, but we do have a whistle.
And I think with the new fair catch rules, how they are, I think this for a team that's going into a game as an underdog is a very effective strategy. We've seen a fumble last season and a fumble against Rutgers when they tried to execute this strategy against a different team. But there's a stoppage here, and they're going to reset this kick.
I think Michigan fans are really upset here. They're saying that the ball blew off the tee before the kick, but after showing the replay, it does not appear that is what happened, as Michigan was about to start on their own 35-yard line. So Jack Howes is going to have another opportunity here with Ty Felton holding the ball once again for him. Wind making its presence known today early on in this contest, as Howes squibs it once again. Samaj Morgan, I think, is going to let that go out of bounds, and that's going to be a flag. Squib kick goes out of bounds, and Michigan will start with fantastic field position.
Yeah, and you're moving out to the 35 where you would have started if the kick didn't have to be re-kicked. So Wolverines have to be happy about that, especially a ball in play that is not liable to be fumbled as the sky kick to A.J. Barner was.
So Michigan will start on its 35-yard line, better field position than last time around. Michigan will have to get something going here as we look at the Michigan offense starters. With Darius Henderson, Trevor Keegan, Drake Nugent, Zach Zinter, and Carson Barnhart are Michigan's offensive linemen. Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, Tyler Morris, and Samaj Morgan are the wide receivers. J.J. McCarthy at quarterback, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards at running back, and Colson Loveland and A.J. Barner at tight end with a flex fullback tight end in Max Bredesen. Looking at the defense for Maryland, Quayshawn Fuller, defensive end, with Christian Teague, Tommy Aking-Bestote, defensive tackle, with Tyus Johnson, Jordan Phillips, Donnell Brown are the nose tackle and jacks, Jay-Sean Barnum, Ruben Hypoloti the second, Kellen Wyatt are the linebackers, and Jaquan Shepard, Dante Trader, and Bo Braid are the safeties, with Tarheeb Still and Corey Coley Jr. at corner today. So we have another stoppage of play here. A lot of TV timeouts today. So, William, Michigan went 3 and out. Maryland had a long drive for a field goal. What does Michigan need to do this drive to try to regain some momentum in this game and try to make their presence known?
Well, you got to throw the ball. You're not playing Penn State. That's simply my opinion about it. I don't think that Maryland, they do lead the Big Ten, tied for the lead in interceptions as a team. But this Wolverine passing attack is something different, and I think it is. I understand that Ohio State is next up, and we've seen at least last year, Michigan, after running the ball into the ground against Illinois the week previous, started to air the ball out in the shoe, and it worked to great results. But I just think that you have this quarterback, you have these wide receivers. Roman Wilson held without a catch last week. Get them involved, easy first downs, and then you can start to grind the game out and just get out of here with the win, which is, I'm sure, what they want to do. They're past the point, I think, of making statements. They've made enough statements this year. They want to get out of here, get back to Ann Arbor, and prep for next week. So, in that way, I think they're trying to be something they haven't been this season. It's a little less easy to change course like they're doing. They've been more balanced. They're used to that. Last week, of course, driven by necessity, but I think you go back to this game plan of balanced football rather than just leaning on the run.
I completely agree. I think Michigan has playmakers on both sides of the ball offensively. Their wide receivers, tight ends, running backs have all shown they can make plays. Yes, you want to establish the run. Yes, you can establish the run. But obviously, J.J. McCarthy was playing fantastic throughout pretty much the entire season. When you put the ball in his hands, he has proven this season that he can do what he needs to do, and you just got to give him good opportunities. You got to open up your playbook a little bit more. You have 2 more regular season games left. You haven't had to use many big plays yet. Let's see what Michigan does here as we restart play. J.J. McCarthy, shotgun formation, moves Colson Loveland out wide. He's looking left. He finds Roman Wilson, who gets drilled, and we have another penalty. But Roman Wilson hangs onto the ball at the 41-yard line, first down and probably more, with a unnecessary roughness penalty coming to him.
No, it'll be targeting. That's textbook targeting. And the defensive back, Dante Trader Jr., knows it.
You're completely right about that.
He's going to be ejected. Michigan will get 15 yards tacked on, and they'll be in business one play into this drive.
Roman Wilson, luckily enough, stands right back up. So despite taking the big hit to his head, hold on to the ball, gets back up. But definitely a scary play there as Roman Wilson just falls right in between 2 defenders. And Trader Jr. went right in with his head. Roman Wilson stayed on the ground for just a minute. And very scary scene right there.
And safety Trader Jr. knew it. As soon as he got up, he was like, all right, that's it for me. And that is a rare instance of, like, true targeting that we see called. Normally it's, the past, 2 years, it's been a little bit nebulous as to what targeting actually is. Of course, leading with the crown of the helmet, but you don't actually have to hit them with your head. You can hit them with your shoulder, and it can be shoulder-to-shoulder contact. It's just if you have the intent that flag can be drawn. But this was a true head-to-head collision.
Yeah, Dante Trader Jr., 2 interceptions last week against Nebraska for Maryland. So as we hypothesize, we believe that he's going to be ejected for this game, and Michigan will have the ball. I believe it's going to be on the Maryland 27-yard line after the extra 15 yards are tacked on to that one. But, William, just to your point before that play happened, Michigan came out throwing the ball. So they're actually going to say it's no foul for targeting.
Really?
So there must have been something that they're seeing that we don't see on the video boards here.
Surprised.
But refs come out and say no foul for targeting, as it does look like he's going with the shoulder, but he definitely still made contact with the head to neck area.
Maybe he didn't lead with the crown of the helmet or lean into it. I'm a bit surprised. Here's this jumbo set we saw last week with Trente Jones as the extra offensive lineman.
Nonetheless, Michigan does still have a first down and 10 on the 42-yard line. Jumbo set formation, Blake Corum behind JJ. Play action pass. He's looking deep. He finds nobody. He just dumps it off to A.J. Barner, and that gets tipped up. Number 2, Bo Braid, almost had the interception. He's upset with himself as he jumped the pass to A.J. Barner. Nonetheless, that's going to be incomplete, second down and 10.
Yeah, and J.J. really, that's a situation. You're protected well. Roll out and try and get something or just throw it out of bounds. You don't need to force a throw. Only 3 receivers in the pattern. Cornelius Johnson opposed to the end zone, covered well. Nothing open for J.J. He's just got to either eat that football. He can't throw that ball right to the defender.
Shotgun formation, Blake Corum to JJ's right. McCarthy looking to the sideline. 2 wide receivers to his left, 2 tight ends down there as well. As he has a draw play to Blake Corum. Blake Corum breaks free. And Blake Corum is still on his feet with the first down. Blake Corum going for 10 yards as he hustles his way to the 30-yard line.
Looking at the replay, just good blocking up front by Michigan. Springs Corum into the second level. A couple safeties have to come up and get him. He runs with Bo Braid for a few yards. Just such a talented runner, so powerful.
So Michigan first down and 10. Pistol formation on the 30-yard line. Corum behind J.J. McCarthy once again. He hands the ball off to Corum. Corum's looking right. He actually bounces out left. Blake Corum breaks away once again, and he gets tackled out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Blake Corum goes for another 14 yards.
Yeah, the thing I've been expecting to see with Trente Jones operating as the 6th offensive lineman is more outside running. I think that Michigan has the speed. They have the talent to seal the edge. Obviously, this wasn't a designed run outside. Corum broke it himself. But running inside over and over again is something that has cost Michigan. It did in the game against Penn State until they started mixing it up a bit. I just would like to see more runs to the outside and exploit some strengths that Michigan has over Maryland.
I formation now. Max Bredesen fullback. Ball hands off to Donovan Edwards. Edwards cuts into the left side, and he moves forward for 2 yards.
Don't see a lot of straight, power running like that for Dono as Khalil Mullings checks in. That's more the guy you normally see as he immediately runs to the sidelines, and here comes Corum.
I think they saw something. They want Blake Corum in this game.
Yeah.
Completely right about that, as Michigan has a 2nd and 7 now on the 13-yard line. Samaj Morgan checks in the game. Johnson and Morgan to J.J. McCarthy's right, with A.J. Barner and Tyler Morris to his left. McCarthy in shotgun formation. Corum to his right. McCarthy hands the ball off to Corum. Corum looks up the middle, and he keeps moving forward all the way up to the 8-yard line for a gain of 5.
It's power running we've been expecting, but it was set up by that big play to Roman Wilson. I'm surprised we haven't seen some kind of rollout. We'll see if Michigan now subbing in Bredesen and Barner with Loveland already on the field is content to just run power again.
3:42 left here in the first quarter. 3rd and 2 for the Michigan Wolverines on the Maryland Terrapins 8-yard line. McCarthy, shotgun formation. Blake Corum to his right. McCarthy hands the ball to Corum. Corum goes up the middle, and he gets pushed forward for the first down all the way up to the 4.5-yard line. Make that or the 3.5-yard line, and Michigan will have a 1st and goal from the 3-yard line.
And I think that had an option for JJ to run with it if he wanted. The defender on the left side, who was Trader Jr., avoided getting ejected, stayed home to guard the QB run, let Corum go up the middle, and I think JJ could have pulled that if he wanted to. Instead, his gravity gets Corum the first down.
McCarthy pistol formation. Lone wide receiver is Darius Clemens. Ball handed off to Blake Corum, and he gets stopped at the 2-yard line for just a gain of 1 on 1st and goal. Michigan very intent to run the ball here inside the 5-yard line. They're keeping their heavy guys out there, bringing in more offensive linemen. Max Bredesen, the fullback, is in there as well, as they just took out Clemens, so there are no wide receivers on the field. Full heavy formation for Michigan with Blake Corum as the lone running back. Blake Corum up the middle, and he's in for the touchdown. Touchdown, Michigan, as Blake Corum adds to his touchdown total for the season, and Michigan takes a 6-3 lead here with 2:19 left in the first quarter.
You don't see that heavy package, no wide receivers, playing in a phone booth in between the hashes. That's what Michigan wants to do at the end of the day. It's what we've seen with Sharon Moore. Trente Jones getting a lot of burn as the 6th offensive lineman on that drive. Michigan imposing its will, and we'll see as they have a James Turner extra point pending, going up 7-3. Rarely relinquish these type of bounce back leads.
Kick is up, and it's good. So Michigan 7, Maryland 3. And while Michigan went 3 and out on its opening drive, came back out here, used the pass, used the run, used heavy formations, used wide out formations. And at the end of the day, Michigan did Michigan things, and Blake Corum found the end zone once again.
Well, and all it takes is 1 first down to really get the drive moving. Maryland was lucky in that regard, with Michigan missing the first down of their first drive by a yard, resulting in that 3 and out. And now, I mean, we've seen Michigan, that first touchdown for them is kind of, add water to instant mix kind of offense and defense. They start to really ramp up once they know that the points are on the board. Over the past few weeks, it's really been that way. I thought in the early parts of the season that they were able to jump on their opponent early and then kind of ease off towards the end, which is less of what we saw last season. But now, towards the back half, as they're starting to play real Big Ten football here at College Park, Maryland, I have to say Big Ten country, it being 60 degrees and sunny in the middle of November.
The week before Ohio State.
I mean, come on. This is Big Ten football, but they are playing how they would have played in 1985, 1973, any of those great years. So we'll just have to see how it continues. Maybe it's a bait and switch for Ohio State. Maybe they think that they can exploit Ohio State like they did with Hassan Haskins in 2021. We'll just have to see. I mean, Michigan isn't expecting to lose this game. They're favored by 20 points. So you have to get past this week, but it is going to be a move on to the Buckeye week. And that's where the season lies.
Michigan has proven they can throw the ball. They've proven they can run the ball. Every single week's different. What they said this past week was, we make in-game adjustments. We go in with a plan, we see the team that we're playing, and we adjust to it. Michigan last week recognized they've been able to run the ball against Penn State, not just this past game, but in past years as well. Michigan also has had Maryland's number, but Maryland came pretty close to beating Michigan last year, closer than they probably have ever been previously. So with obviously playing against Tagovailoa and Michigan's offense, it's always going to be an adjustment, and it's not going to be Michigan just trying to rout people 52-0 every single week. You're completely right. They're trying to establish the run. They're trying to establish the pass. They're just going to do exactly what they need to do to win the game, rather than just trying to stick to its roots and blow every single team out. So we have a few more seconds left here before we resume play here in the first quarter. 2:19 left in the first quarter. Michigan up 7-3. And if you're Maryland, William, with Tagovailoa, you saw them drive the ball down for a long period of time in that first drive. What do they need to do to come back out here in their second drive and try to regain some momentum for themselves?
Well, Maryland, one of the first teams all season that's been effective in the short passing game. A lot of teams have burned Michigan over the top for big plays. That's where a few of the early season touchdowns came from. But Maryland was efficient on that first drive. Like I said, it's probably coming from their play script that they get in the week of preparation leading up. So we'll see what they do here on the second drive, having probably abandoned that. Now they're ready to mix in their in-game play calling here, their second offensive drive of the game.
And Maryland was running the ball well. They were using the play action once the running game got going to make some good plays, and just kind of got stopped in the red zone as Tommy Doman sends the ball away essentially to the back of the end zone. That's going to be a touchback. So Maryland will start its second drive from their own 25-yard line.
The wind's kind of shifted here. It's blowing inside to us rather than straight out of the back of the end zone. See how that plays in. It's whipping a little bit.
It is a windy day, but it is a beautiful day outside. I'm sure the fans don't mind the wind, but for game action specifically, you already saw it really impacting Jack Howe's 2 kickoffs. One was a squib, a fake one essentially was a poocher, and then he squibbed it once again, so he didn't trust either getting the ball to Samaj Morgan / maybe the wind played a factor in there as well. We have a beautiful day here in College Park, Maryland. William Gregory, my name is Jake Singer here on the call. Looking forward a little bit, William. Michigan playing in sunny weather today. Next weekend against Ohio State, definitely going to be a lot colder. Chance of snow for that. How much does weather play a factor into your game plan as well?
Well, I think it plays in a lot to what Michigan likes to do. Ohio State, of course, more of a passing kind of program. I don't think they've leaned on the run since J.T. Barrett was back there at quarterback as much as they did those years. Kyle McCord, I think they tried to run the ball against Penn State, couldn't really do that. Eventually, having Marvin Harrison, the best wide receiver in the country, helps. So that is what Michigan will have to prepare for all week long. I think if you shut down 18, you do a good job shutting down parts of the Ohio State offense. And when it's snowing, cold, that helps a little bit too. But we'll have to see if Michigan can replicate what they did on the ground against Penn State. I think it'll be a similar game plan against OSU this time out, especially not being as clear as it was last year in the shoe to be able to throw the ball all over the yard like they did. And if you remember, the offense was kind of stymied before those big chunk plays kind of broke the spirit of the Buckeyes.
Completely right. I mean, today it is beautiful outside. You definitely can see Michigan can run the ball, but they're also plenty well capable of throwing the ball as well, especially in this climate. But as it gets colder outside, as it gets windier, as the snow kind of comes in, maybe you get some rain in there as well, it's definitely going to have to be a trenches game with the run game really having to attack Michigan. And with Michigan, with Blake Corum, Diamond Edwards kind of picking off where they left off last week, at least for Corum, already running the ball over the field here, you're definitely seeing Michigan recognizing that that's how they want to beat these teams. Yes, they can throw the ball for 300 yards if they would like to, but obviously that also puts the ball in play for possible interceptions, possible mistakes here and there. Michigan knows if they run the ball, that it's probably going to work out in their favor. They can control the clock, and they can also control the tempo of the game in general. And that's also why I think Michigan's been really trying to emphasize running the ball as of late here in this season. As Maryland finally comes back out onto the field, Michigan is already out there in its formation. Looking at the Michigan defensive starters for today, Braden McGregor, Jalen Harrell are the defensive ends. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Cam Good are the first D tackles, kind of nose tackles. Chris Jenkins, Rayshon Benning also in there at defensive tackle, and Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore on the other side of the defensive line. Junior Colson, Ernest Hausen, and Michael Barrett are the linebackers, and Will Johnson, Josh Wallace, and Mikey Sainristil are the starting corners today for Michigan. As we're back underway here, Talia Tagovailoa tries to get it to his tight end, and I believe that's going to be incomplete. That was intended for Preston Howard. First play of the game was a play-action pass, and that's going to be incomplete. 2nd and 10 there for Maryland.
Yeah, he trapped it. It just was a tough catch to make. It wasn't a great throw from Tagovailoa. Maybe in the NFL you expect your receivers to catch that ball, but at college tight end, that's a tough play to make.
Good first play call there, just poorly executed for Maryland. 2nd and 10 now on their own 25-yard line. Colby McDonald is the running back for Maryland to the left of Talia. 2 wide receivers to his right. He's looking right. He's going to take a deep shot.
He's got him.
He has a receiver, and he just misses his receiving target. Shalik Knotts took a deep shot right there on Will Johnson, and the ball just drifted out of bounds.
Yeah, and that was just a right-handed spiral, goes right as it turns in the air. If he throws that ball straight deep, I think he's going to step on Will Johnson, but instead it's a 3rd and long.
3rd and 10 now for Maryland. Michigan crowd getting rowdy. Talia looking right. He has to run away from Josiah Stewart, and the ball ball is out. Derek Moore has the ball, and he's going to score a touchdown. Touchdown, Michigan. As the Michigan Wolverines strip sack Talia Tungavailoa and take it to the house. Derek Moore with the pressure, and he scores the touchdown. 13-3 Michigan with 2 minutes left here in the first quarter.
And the edge rushing has been what Michigan, I think, has been lacking. That's what a lot of Wolverine fans would like to see out of the defensive unit. Multiple players getting in the backfield for Michigan on that play. Derek Moore, right place, right time, scoops it up and scores. Michigan now putting the hammer down, I think.
Mike Barrett with the strip. And Derek Moore takes it to the house as James Turner's extra point is up and good, and Michigan takes a 14-3 lead. So while giving up a long drive to Maryland on the first drive of the game, Michigan comes out 2 plays incomplete, and then the strip sack for a touchdown. And Michigan immediately takes all the momentum out of this game and swings it to their side.
And Derek Moore, the sophomore, gets a lot of play time in the second unit of the defensive line. He's a Baltimore native. I think we'll be saying a lot of DMV names often for this Michigan football team. I already talked about Blake Corum enough. Michigan has players all through this area.
Chris Jenkins.
Guys like Chris Jenkins who were angry that Maryland never recruited him. He's from right by.
Yep. Derek Moore talking about this week, really excited to go home. He said his whole family was at this game today. I'm sure his family is ecstatic for him as he gets actually into the scoring column and scores that touchdown for Michigan. 2 minutes left here in the first quarter. Tommy Doman sends the ball away into the back of the end zone, and Maryland is going to be forced to take it out on the 25-yard line. This Tommy Doman actually, that kickoff I believe went through the upright, so that ball went sailing as the wind is blowing all the way across the field through the goalpost for Michigan.
Yeah, Doman, I've talked about him all year. It's actually kind of, whenever I'm doing color commentary for these games, I can't help but talk about Tommy Doman. He's having a better punting season per average than Brad Robbins did last year, and he is booting the ball through the end zone for touchbacks on kickoffs, more than 10% more than he was last season. So he's improved a lot.
So just like that, Maryland's offense is back on the field. 1st and 10 from the 25. Tungavailoa, shotgun formation. Hands the ball off to McDonald. McDonald trying to weave his way just up the gut a few yards, and that's going to be stopped after a 2-yard gain. McDonald just 2 attempts for 8 yards last week. The running backs outside of Roman Embry really didn't get anything going as McDonald's back out there. Antoine Littleton II had 2 attempts just last week as well for 2 yards. So Maryland does like to utilize 3 running backs, but we will see what they decide to do today. Tungavailoa, shotgun formation. McDonald gets sent out. Tungavailoa is sacked as he didn't feel the pressure from Jalen Harrell coming on from the left side. And Tungavailoa is going to be sent all the way back and will have another 3rd and long.
Well, nobody on Maryland sensed the pressure because Jalen Harrell came in free off the right side. He was in as, well, Mike Barrett came in as a 5th rusher on a blitz. Nobody slid over to pick up Harrell. Michigan really on a simple 5-man blitz gets an easy free rusher due to Maryland's offensive line's mistake.
3rd and 17 on the 18-yard line here for Maryland. Ford wide receivers out, 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Tungavailoa, shotgun formation. He's looking left. He now feels the pressure as well, and Chris Jenkins is right there. Tungavailoa is in the end zone and throws the ball away and out of bounds, and Maryland is going to be forced to punt. Braden McGregor and Chris Jenkins, the Maryland native, get Tungavailoa all the way into the end zone, and Tungavailoa tries to avoid the safety by throwing the ball out of bounds and out of play. And at 4th and 17, Maryland is going to have to punt once again.
Well, and Jenkins and McGregor, and you don't see this very often from Michigan, execute a really nice stunt on the left side of the defensive line. That gets McGregor free through the hole of the right guard, kind of the A-gap side. And Jenkins, as Tungavailoa rolls out right, is able to get free of his blocker and chase down Tungavailoa, who makes the smart play instead of taking the safety.
Colton Spangler, the punter for Maryland, sends it away, and it gets blocked! Michigan blocks the punt, and the ball gets kicked to the back of the end zone. And that's going to be a flag.
Yeah, you can't intentionally kick the ball out like that. We saw that in the Lions game a few years ago, the intentional batted ball that didn't get called.
Michigan blocks the punt. And we're going to get a penalty flag here. The illegal kick is going to result in a safety. It was going to be a safety nonetheless with the ball getting kicked in the back of the end zone.
Christian Boivin on the block. Special teams ace for Michigan this year. He's really made his mark on the teams unit. Gets through the punt protection unit of Maryland, makes a great diving block, and didn't result in a touchdown. I'd argue that batted ball penalty should.
Yeah, I didn't know what the actual penalty meant, but
it'll be like a 15-yarder, I believe.
Probably assessed on the kickoff, but nonetheless, Michigan 16, Maryland 3, and after the Blake Corum touchdown that put Michigan up 7-3, we've seen a strap sick for a touchdown and now a block punt for the safety. The Michigan defense and special teams really taking control of this one, and it all starts with the Maryland natives and Chris Jenkins and Derek Moore.
Yeah, I mentioned Michigan was playing real Big Ten football. Playing like Iowa, the defense has more points than the offense.
You're completely right about that. Defense scoring 9 points. Michigan offense 7 points. Now Michigan will get the ball back again. So Michigan will have another opportunity to take control of this game. 32 seconds left here in the first quarter. Jack Howes, who squibbed the ball twice on his 2 lone kickoffs. See what he decides to do right now. Really not trying to get the ball to Samaj Morgan. You're seeing Samaj Morgan all the way up at the 30-yard line, expecting another squib kick here. Moves back to the 20 now. But with the wind, we're seeing definitely the ball blowing over a little bit more. Whistle is blown, so Jack Howes will now have the opportunity to kick the ball off. Samaj Morgan back at the 20-yard line. Howes squibs it yet again. They're going to let that ball roll all the way to Morgan, but Morgan needs to pick that ball up, and he finally does, I believe, at the 36-yard line. Michigan had to be careful to not let Maryland have an opportunity at getting that ball, as the front line guys of the kickoff team from Michigan was letting that ball bounce all the way to Samaj. And obviously a little bit of a dangerous play, but nonetheless, Michigan will have fantastic field position to start its second offensive drive.
And that's got to bug a special teams coach. If one of those frontline guys just falls on the football, Michigan's got the ball at the 47-yard line.
Exactly.
Maryland on that, well, I thought a safety was always followed by a punt, but I guess you can kick it off. Nobody dove on the football, and then if you let it go, somebody on Maryland can recover it like an onside kick.
McCarthy takes the snap, hands the ball to Edwards. Edwards bouncing out to the right side, and he gets pushed out of bounds, I believe, at the 47-yard line. Good first game there for Edwards, 2nd and 4 for the Michigan Wolverines.
There was an outside run for Edwards. It's a good first gain on first down. 2nd and 4 after the gain of 6. You could see a shot play at this place in the field at the 42, but they're going to let the quarter run out, and we'll see on the other side of the break, I guess.
So that will be the end of the first quarter. Michigan 16, Maryland 3, as we get you set to go for the second quarter here. So Michigan, William, let's kind of detail this first quarter for everybody. First drive, 3 and out, have to punt. Maryland goes all the way down to the 21-yard line. They're forced to kick a field goal, 3-0. Now Michigan drives the ball all the way down, running the ball, passing the ball. They score a touchdown on a Blake Corum touchdown run. Third play on the offensive drive for Maryland of the next drive, strip sack touchdown Derek Moore. And finally here, when Maryland went 3 and out due to a sack and a throwaway on a nice QB pressure by Braden McGregor and Chris Jenkins, Michigan blocks the punt, goes in the back of the end zone, and that is where we stand at 16-3. William, how do you assess this first quarter for Michigan?
Well, the defense, after really not they made the plays they had to make against Penn State, but they didn't make a play as to say a fumble or a block or anything like that. They do against Maryland here, and obviously there's a difference in talent between past 2 Michigan opponents. But I think that Michigan's defense was probably challenged after last week. They did well against Drew Aller in the passing game, but Quentin Johnson trapped an interception that was overturned. Initially was called a pick. They did have that fumble that was crucial in that game, but I think that the Michigan coaching staff knows that they're capable of more, and I assume that they told them as such. They need a bit more pressure off the edges. They saw at Penn State, that's the reason Michigan really couldn't pass in that game, with Chop Robinson screaming off the edge on almost every drop back. Michigan can do this, I think, is what the coaching staff would say, and they have so far. And it's been from, not the superstars. You did have that pressure by McGregor and Chris Jenkins, who are two of the more known players on the Michigan defense, but Derek Moore, a younger guy, Christian Boivin, a special teamer, and Michigan, I think, getting it all done in all phases so far today.
Taking you guys all back to that safety on the blocked kick. Punt was blocked, and the ball trickled all the way to the end zone, and one of the Maryland players just kicked it straight so it would go in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, it was the punter. He was making a smart play.
The punter was trying to kick it out, knowing that it would be a safety nonetheless, so that is why it was an illegal kick there, not anything else going on, as the Maryland punter was just trying to kick it into the back of the end zone to prevent Michigan from falling on it and scoring a touchdown. Going a little bit forward, William, kind of to your point, right? Michigan, I completely agree with you. They want to just win this game. They want to win this game in nice fashion. And they're just going to try to do what they can to win. As we just got the report that Roman Wilson is back on the sideline in street clothes. So definitely taking that hit that should have been a targeting, kind of to our eyes, was not a targeting. Hit to the head. He's probably going to be out for the rest of this game today, given that he's in street clothes. So given that, right, Michigan definitely has other wide receivers that can step up, but you probably have to assume they just want to run the ball.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if I'd be alarmed at the Roman Wilson injury. He got up, he looked okay, but you never know with a concussion kind of injury. The fact that he's back on the sidelines is a good sign, and maybe just as a precaution, he's being held out of the rest of this game. 16-3 being the score. No team has scored more than 15 points at Michigan all season, and I'm not sure that Maryland is the team to do that, although they did score the most points up until the postseason against Michigan, that 27-point effort in week 4 of last year. But I don't know if this year's team has the juice, given the just demoralizing 2 plays on defense.
Truly takes all the momentum out of your side, as now Michigan leads 16-3. And we resume play here in the second quarter. Michigan and Maryland switch sides, so now Michigan is going to be moving from our vantage point, our right to left. Richard McCarthy has Tyler Morris in motion. He hands the ball off to Donovan Edwards, and Edwards falls forward for a nice gain as that moves the chains. Ball at the 48-yard line, 1st and 10 Michigan, 14:45 left here in the second quarter. McCarthy now in pistol formation. Donovan Edwards behind him. Cornelius Johnson to his right, with Tyler Morris, A.J. Barner, and Samaj Morgan to his left. Hands the ball off to Donovan Edwards once again, and Donovan Edwards gets pulled forward for a nice gain. Donovan Edwards looked like he was going to get stopped in the backfield, and he gets pulled forward for, I believe, a gain of 4 to the 48-yard line.
And Maryland, I think, has had some tackling problems. That was Caleb Wheatland, the middle linebacker, just kind of throwing Donovan Edwards forward. We saw Blake Corum drag a few defenders as he checks back into the game. Michigan just looks stronger, I think.
Michigan has definitely looked stronger since that first drive for sure. Offensive line is really moving the Maryland defensive lineman forward. As ball gets handed off now to Blake Corum, and Corum wiggles his way all the way forward to, I believe, the 41-yard line, and that's going to be a first down.
And Corum just ran over it, dude. Like I said, Michigan looks stronger. And Maryland has issues against teams that are a bit beefier. I watched the Penn State film last week, a game that Maryland, or 2 weeks ago, that Maryland lost 55-10. They really couldn't get any push against the Penn State defensive front, or vice versa.
Michigan in another pistol formation. Kalel Mullings checks into the game at running back now for the Wolverines. The power back for Michigan, usually coming in short yardage situations. Ball gets handed off to him now, and he moves all the way into the left side, wiggles his way for a nice game. Michigan just running the ball on Maryland right now. That ball goes all the way up to the 33-yard line for a 2nd and 2.
Yeah, and if Michigan can just do this all day, they will continue to do this all day. With a 13-point lead, like I said, they're already ready to get out of here before kickoff of this game. I think with a 2-touchdown lead, they're just trying to take the air out of the football.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Maryland crowd has gone quiet here. Mullings still in the game. Pistol formation. Bredesen moving in motion. Ball goes to Mullings once again, and Mullings picks up the first down. Tackled by Bo Braid, the strong safety. 1st down and 10 on the 28-yard line. $11:57 left here in the second quarter. Michigan utilizing their run game completely here in the second quarter on this drive. McCarthy drops back to pass now. He's looking left. He's going to sling it all the way up into double coverage, and that's incomplete. Intended for Samaj Morgan. Samaj Morgan looking for a penalty flag. He's not going to get it, and it's going to be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, and Morgan, double coverage throw by JJ, kind of a rough decision, really. That's given how conservative Michigan has been. I mean, it's a throw you can make, but it's not a throw I don't think anyone would advise.
Yeah, Maryland's defensive backfield really holding Michigan in check today. Not many pass attempts, but Michigan just 2 of them. Nonetheless, that was definitely a good defensive play there as the ball is catch by JJ. McCarthy, I think, was looking for a read option there. Decided to pull the ball from Donovan Edwards, and it was nicely read there by the Maryland defense, bringing up no gain on the play. 3rd and 10, 11:26 left here in the second quarter. Tackle was made by Bo Braid once again. Nice read there on the reading the read option of Michigan. Maryland crowd trying to get a little noisier here. 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Michigan looking to its sideline. 7 seconds on the play clock as he tosses it out to Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards cuts inside and he gets blown up. And he gets flipped in the air. Believe that's just going to be a gain of 2 on the play. And Michigan on the 26-yard line, I believe, is going to bring out its field goal unit, and actually now they're going to keep their offense on the field. So Sharon Moore gives the call. This is going to be a go-for-it situation. That's why they tried the toss play, the crack toss, as they call it, to Donovan Edwards. 4th and 8, 26-yard line. J.J. McCarthy, shotgun formation, 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. McCarthy snaps the ball. He drops back to pass. He's looking right. He has a receiver, and he gets touched. Goes down to the ground, and Michigan gets a penalty flag. They're going to call that pass interference, and Michigan gets bailed out on 4th down. Glendon Miller on the coverage.
A couple things to note. Michigan obviously going behind the chains after that try to Samaj Morgan.
Sorry, that penalty is going to be on Tar Heap still.
That pass to Samaj Morgan put the Wolverines behind schedule after they've been running the ball really effectively, and I thought they'd just continue to do so. That might change the strategy in the game moving forward. That pass interference call I thought was a bit weak. The ball was kind of uncatchable towards the sidelines. The gamble pays off. I want to shout out Donovan Edwards in pass protection, making a nice block on the inside.
So Michigan gets bailed out. Definitely not the play call I would have gone with on 4th down. McCarthy really didn't have anything there, but Michigan gets lucked out with the pass interference call. And now Michigan in triple option formation. But we get a whistle before the play can get snapped. Michigan with the timeout. So timeout here. 10-11 left in the second quarter. Michigan 16, Terrapins 3. And Michigan will have a 1st down and 10 on the 16-yard line. With a break right here, want to take a moment to tell you about WCBN Sports and its future broadcast. Michigan playing hockey tonight in Yost Ice Arena. We'll have a broadcast for you on that one. Michigan playing Ohio State next weekend at noon. Definitely have a broadcast for you for that one as well, as Michigan's all their winter sports teams are back underway. Basketball occurring, women's and men's basketball. Football, obviously, at the end of its season, with the possibility of going to the playoff. Have to defeat Maryland today, Ohio State after that, and possibly a Big Ten championship game after that as well. And a ton of other sports Michigan is playing right now on campus. WCBN Sports has all the coverage for you on Michigan athletics. So, William, obviously Michigan trying for it on 4th down. What does that aggressiveness tell you about Sharon Moore's play style today?
I'm actually a bit surprised, and it might tell you, given that James Turner was going to be kicking into the wind, that they see the wind as being a factor. He doesn't really have a very long career long. I believe it's inside of 50 yards. He's more of an accuracy kind of kicker, not necessarily a big leg guy. And I think that played into it. 4th down and 8. From that area of the field, that's a little bit like no man's land, and I think Michigan's confident enough they can pick it up in passing play. Again, like you said, I don't know why the out route was the target. That hasn't really been what Michigan's done in that scenario all year. It's been over the middle, tight ends. That's what's been missing over the past 2 games, I think. We saw it on the first drive, a completion to A.J. Barner against Penn State, but that the outside throws have made more of an appearance here today as compared to what we've seen all year has been those crossing routes over the middle, and Michigan does a lot of their business in the passing game over the middle. I think that's to JJ's strength.
Really right about that. I mean, the wind definitely is playing a factor here, as we're seeing the wind really taking the flags on the goalposts right now. Would have definitely been completely into the face of James Turner, so that's definitely probably playing a factor there. And you saw there on the 3rd down call, trying to crack toss it to Donovan Edwards, trying to get a few more yards out of it. I believe they said as long as they didn't get a negative gain, they probably were going to go for it, and they went for it on 4th and 8 and got lucky with the penalty call. And now Michigan has the ball in business inside the 20-yard lines. We're back underway here. 1st and 10 for Michigan. McCarthy looking left. He has a receiver, Cornelius Johnson, in the corner, and that's just out of play and out of reach.
Surprised that didn't draw a flag compared to the previous throw that did.
Trying to back shoulder it to Cornelius Johnson in the corner of the end zone on the left side of McCarthy.
You say it's a back shoulder. That's been one of the critiques of J.J. McCarthy, is that he really only throws the ball one speed. It's a fastball. A lot of other quarterbacks would touch past that throw.
Completely right about that. Nonetheless, it's going to be 2nd and 10 here. I formation for Michigan. Strong package in, as the ball gets handed off to Donovan Edwards, and he gets clobbered up immediately. Tackled by Bo Braid. He's been everywhere today for the Maryland Terrapins, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and long.
Yeah, and when you're a bit predictable in the formations that you're calling, teams will be able to dial up some pressures. Braid coming off on the outside on a blitz from his safety spot makes an easy play in the backfield.
3rd and 11 for the Wolverines. Ball on the 17-yard line. 9:35 left here in the 2nd quarter. McCarthy sends Donovan Edwards to his right. Now sends Cornelius Johnson in motion as well to his left. He's looking left. He has a receiver, Colson Loveland, and Colson Loveland brings in the ball as that gets down at, I believe, the 4.5-yard line, and Michigan is going to have a 1st and goal once again.
Like I said, Loveland, those tight ends, that's what's been missing in this offense. Loveland is special. Jim Harbaugh's not here today, but he knows it. He says it all the time.
McCarthy hands the ball off to Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards up the gut, trying to get into the end zone, and he is down, I believe, at the half-yard line. So it's going to be 2nd and goal from about the 1 for Michigan. As Donovan Edwards checks out of the game, Blake Corum comes back into the game, the touchdown machine for Michigan. Michigan bringing in extra offensive linemen as well. Trente Jones comes into the game. He's lined up on the left side of the offensive line. And the ball is headed to Blake Corum. Blake Corum gets stopped, though, and he can't find the end zone. 3rd and goal now from the 1-yard line for the Michigan Wolverines.
And you think about tendency breakers. Michigan believes that they can run it up the middle and get it done here. Maybe they're saving that keeper outside run against a team in the future, but I think that continuing just to run into a brick wall, Maryland's played well on the interior today, is something that you could stand to change. You could do a little something different without tipping your hand too much for future opponents here.
So we have a timeout here for an injured player. That's going to be number 40, Tyjae Johnson, but he jogs off the field on his own power. And Michigan will resume play here. 8:13 left in the second quarter. Michigan 16, Maryland 3. Michigan 3rd and goal from the half-yard line. Heavy package once again. Blake Corum as a lone back. Blake Corum goes over the middle, untouched, and he's in the end zone for the 2nd time today as Trevor Keegan playing the guitar on the ground, and Michigan takes a 22-3 lead. 7:59 left here in the second quarter.
I mentioned after that first offensive touchdown, Michigan was going to put their hammer down. This was a drive where they really said what they mean and let a long touchdown. Is, I don't know, there's laser eye turtle on the video board.
Down 22-3.
Yeah,
but
that's not even where you put that. But
interesting. Probably trying to distract James Turner. Nonetheless, Turner is up and good for the extra point. Michigan takes a 23-3 lead here in the second quarter. Before going down 3-0, Michigan has scored 20 unanswered points, 9 of which coming from defense and special teams, and on offense, 2 touchdowns, adding to Blake Corum's historic year for Michigan. So Michigan now with the foot on the pedal, defense playing well, offense playing well. Do you think Michigan just tries to run the ball now out, just try to chew some clock and try to conserve their play calling for next week, William, or do you think they just try to continue that foot on the pedal?
Well, I think they're not mutually exclusive. I think Michigan's going to continue to run the ball like I've been saying and get out of this game as quickly as possible. You're already scoring 23 points. It's 1 point off all what you scored last week. Michigan has established the season high in scoring for almost every opponent this season. Now, it didn't last for the last 5 opponents Michigan has played. That is still the standing season high in scoring that Michigan put up. Maybe they're shooting for 56. That's the most points. Well, Maryland has allowed 55 points, but 56 is a round number in terms of touchdowns. That's something Michigan could shoot for, but other than that, I think they're ready to move on out of here to next week as soon as they can. They've done a big thing, but Maryland owns one of the biggest college football comebacks in history, a 31-point comeback by Frank Reich in the 80s. Replicated that again in the 90s for the Buffalo Bills, so if a team can come back, it's Maryland. I don't know about this year, though.
I think Michigan, you're clearly right. I think Michigan has been running the ball very well. They know that is what's going to work in this game. When you incorporate the pass a little bit, it's been working too. I would like to see Michigan passing the ball just a little bit more just to see if the pass has been able to work, because at least in this game, when beside really from that Colson Loveland catch and the Rowan Wilson catch in that first quarter, you haven't really been able to see many options available for JJ. You're not really getting your receivers as involved, so you're not really being able to see, obviously you're going to need your throwing ability just as much as your running ability going forward. So I really don't think they should just let that up like they did last week against Penn State and just run the ball again for 30-plus times. But, yes, the run game is working, and that's kind of what Michigan's really wanted to do the last few weeks. And this is Sharon Moore's team for the next 2 weeks at least, as well as last weekend too. And you're really seeing Sharon Moore have a big emphasis on running the ball, being the offensive line coach, being the offensive coordinator. And he's just trying to do what works for Michigan. And obviously Michigan's up by 20 points, so you really can't complain with the play calling so far. As we're looking at the scoreboard around the Big Ten today, Penn State up 10-3 on Rutgers. Michigan State, Indiana tied 7-7 in the second quarter. And Purdue is trailing Northwestern 6-0 in the second quarter as well.
And that's in Evanston. Northwestern looking for bowl eligibility, sitting at 5-5. They finished 7-5. Well, first of all, David Braun, their interim head coach following the firing of Pat Fitzgerald, has the most wins in a first season for a Northwestern football coach in program history.
That's
just 5.
Unbelievable.
And he has a chance for 7. They're favored, or they're actually underdogs in that game at home against Purdue. I don't know why. I think Northwestern's been a really, really tough football outfit this season. They beat Northwestern. They beat Minnesota. And I think that things compared to where they were at the beginning of the year, like in the basement for Northwestern, like people were saying 1-11, 0-12 to finish possibly 7-5 with a bowl
in the
game.
Big Ten is
incredible
for sure.
And it's good for them that moving to the new model of the Big Ten as the Doman kickoff goes for a touchback, that they'll be able to at least show that they can do something, as the Big Ten adds 4 more teams. And maybe they won't be in the cellar of that new conference. Now, it remains to be seen if they ever make a conference title game. They only ever made 1 in the current format, but things are looking up in Edmond.
Completely right about that. Always good when Big Ten teams are playing well. As we're back underway here, Embry gets it in pistol formation. He tries to move in left side, and he gets tackled for no gain. 2nd and 10 at the 25-yard line. Maryland coming out now for its first drive of the second quarter. Second and 10 now from the 25-yard line. 7:35 left here in the second quarter. Tagovailoa in shotgun formation. He drops back to pass. He's looking left. He has a receiver who makes a move. That's Caden Prather, and he gets tackled all the way down at the 39-yard line.
Yeah, good job forcing a missed tackle by Prather. Mike Barrett's down on the play. That's not good for Michigan.
He's holding, I don't know what, but he looks like his leg. As Prather, I don't know what happened to Mike Barrett there. He kind of came late on the play.
I don't know why his leg would be the problem. I think he's moving, and it's probably just a strain or a sprain or something. I don't think it looks too serious.
The trainers are out. Michigan has been able to stay relatively healthy this season. Really, in my personal opinion, one of the reasons they've had so much success.
Well, and Barrett's played like 60 career games.
And Mike Barrett has been definitely one of the leaders on the defense. The defensive line, the secondary, the linebacker core all have spoken so highly of Mike Barrett this season. Signed to come back for, I believe, a 6th year. Being the middle of that defense at the middle linebacker position, as he is still down on the ground. And Michigan definitely could not lose any of its guys, especially one of the leaders on either side of the ball. So looking at that replay of Mike Barrett, he came in late to tackle Caden Prather. It didn't look like he made much contact with Prather, but it's possible the ground caused him some discomfort, as he's now is sitting up but still on the ground with 4 trainers around him. Finally going to get him to his feet. And he walks off on his own power, a little gingerly though, but luckily he is walking away to the Michigan sideline on his own power. Rowan Wilson already in street clothes today after taking a head contact shot in the first quarter. But Barrett luckily is dapping up his own teammates, so it looks like he's going to be okay, but the Michigan training staff, I think, is going to signal him to go at least into the tents so they can check him out a little bit more. So with that injury timeout, Michigan gets a chance to take another breather here. It's going to be 1st and 10 for the Maryland Terrapins, as Maryland really needs to get some offense going here if they want to stay in this one. Already down 20 in the middle of the second quarter with 7:14 left here.
Well, it plays into their hand. They're not like Penn State, where it's a team where they love to run the football. They're not an efficient passing game. Maryland makes their mark with the passing game, and I think that although Michigan's passing defense is what it is, they can still start to throw the football around. They've picked up a first down on this drive. They're moving. That's how they got started on their field goal drive. It's just those 2 sacks on the past 2 drives for Maryland that resulted in Michigan points on defense have killed them. Those backwards plays, getting behind the chains, is what we talk about a lot, just generally in football. Stay in front of the chains, always keep it moving, never go backwards. And then the defense is constantly on its heels.
Completely right about that. Michigan just trying to keep the momentum going. Maryland trying to stop it with as much power as it can. As we're back finally and resuming play here. So with Mike Barrett out, Michigan will have Junior Colson and Ernest Hausman at the linebacker position. Hausman now going to play some cover on the Maryland tight end. Tagovailoa is trying to look for that tight end. And Junior Colson on the tackle after a game of 3. So that's going to be 2nd and 7 here for Maryland.
Yeah, and you talk about it. Receivers isolated on linebackers isn't what you want to see. It's Dyches, too, Maryland's most dangerous target in the passing game.
Searching through the market, 2nd and 6 now from the 43-yard line for Maryland. Tagovailoa in shotgun formation. He drops back to pass. He's looking to Ty Felton. Felton makes another guy miss, and he makes 2 guys miss and finally gets taken down at the 45-yard line. Nice moves there on Derek Moore.
Yeah, Michigan just kind of playing a soft zone coverage. Maryland finding the soft spots underneath, taking the easy throws. I talked about how Michigan just wants to keep everything in front of them, but at a certain point, you got to shut this offense down.
Ernest Hausman on the stop. 1st and 10 Maryland on Michigan's 45-yard line. Tagovailoa shotgun formation, drops back to pass. He's looking right. He's trying to move up in the pocket, and he finds his check down receiver, his running back, Roman Embry. And Embry is able to move the chains for Maryland up to the 31-yard line.
Yeah, and that cover 2 shell, you're just letting up completions underneath. The middle of the field's wide open. Tagovailoa steps up and finds his running back.
1st down Maryland. 5:15 left here in the 2nd quarter. Tagovailoa looking left. He has a receiver for a short gain. That's going to be number 2, Corey Dyches. And that'll bring up a 2nd and 6. Maryland hurry up offense here. Quickly back in formation. Tagovailoa pulls the ball from his running back, tries to get it to Dyches. Dyches moving all the way to the sideline, and he gets drilled by Josh Wallace. And that'll bring up a 3rd and short here for Maryland. 3rd and 2 on the 23-yard line for Maryland. Maryland already in field goal range, kicking with the wind. Antoine Littleton, the 2nd, comes in at running back for Maryland. He gets the carry. He moves forward. He gets stopped by Braden McGregor, but I believe he's going to get pushed forward just enough for the 1st down. They're going to mark him down at the 20-yard line, and that's going to be good for 1st down Maryland.
And that's an effective change-up, running the ball out of the gun. Michigan does a good job to cover it up, but Maryland gets enough yards to pick up the 1st down, and they're getting close to the end zone.
Kyle Long, the left guard, pushing Littleton forward for the 1st down. Tagovailoa hands the ball off to Littleton once again. Littleton squeezes way for about 2 yards to the 18-yard line now. It's going to be 2nd and 8 Maryland.
We saw Penn State last week be the first team to get inside the 10 against Michigan. Maryland knocking on that door. So Michigan not very experienced in this department, being backed up into the goal. Into the end zone.
Tagovailoa, shotgun formation, Littleton to his right. He's looking left. He has a receiver who makes the catch. Dyches gets a lot of room right in front of him, and he gets tackled at, I believe, the 1-yard line. So Corey Dyches, the tight end for Maryland, who has been so good for them this season, coming into the game, 42 receptions, 3rd most amongst tight ends, as you said, William. and he's really adding to his total, getting the ball all the way down to the 1-yard line.
And a miscommunication by the linebackers of Michigan. I mean, I get playing a zone in the middle of the field, but once you get down to this area where there's not much room to work, I think you start playing more man coverage, and you do not allow a receiver like Dyches to get wide open underneath like that.
Maryland now coming out with their jumbo package. Tagovailoa, play action pass, looking for Dyches, nothing's there. He tries to find the middle of the field, and that's going to be incomplete. Intended for number 18, Dylan Wade, the freshman tight end, and that's going to bring him 2nd and goal on the 1-yard line.
And you got to make a throw, but that's a dangerous pass back over the middle with 3 Michigan defenders outnumbering the 1 Maryland receiver. Terrapins making an interesting decision out of that formation to pass.
Well, I guess with the ball on the 1-yard line, try that first. Still with jumbo formation here. See if they run the ball now. Tagovailoa under center. Dylan Wade in motion. Ball is handed off to Colby McDonald, and he is stopped moving backwards a yard. So the Michigan defensive line getting some penetration on Maryland's offense, and they move McDonald back a yard. That's going to be 3rd and goal now from the 2-yard line for Maryland. And we're going to have a timeout here. I believe Maryland is going to call the timeout. They actually might say that's going to be a Michigan timeout. So Michigan called a timeout here. 3rd and 2, sorry, on the 2-yard line. 2:18 left here in the 2nd quarter.
And Michigan calling this timeout gets to regroup, but then also gets to preserve some time if they want to go down and score with the remaining 2 minutes in this half.
So Michigan stops the pass on the first play, stops the run on the second play. If you're the Maryland offensive coordinator, William, what are you calling here on 3rd and goal?
I did like that sprint out call from the heavy set that resulted in the incompletion. I think Michigan covered it well, but it's a tough play to guard if you get that running back sprinting out. If I'm looking at the personnel grouping, I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to have they're going to bunch right of wide receivers snapping the ball from the left hash. Actually, it's an interesting formation.
Quick play here. Ball gets thrown to Colby McDonald. He's looking for a seam. He might have found one, and they're going to call that a touchdown. Junior Colson thinks he tackled him before he crossed the plane. They'll have to look at this one, but Colby McDonald takes the pass from Talia Tagovailoa, and he breaks through the plane for the Maryland touchdown. And as it stands, it's going to be 23-9, but let's look at that replay right here. Junior Colson tackles him right on the line.
I think he got in.
Believe the field goal unit's already out, so they probably did a quick replay looking at that one. They are holding it up for just a moment, though.
And I mean, McDonald caught that ball at the 7-yard line. I can't believe he got into the end zone. I can't believe that's what the play call was.
It was a backward pass to Colby McDonald, the 3rd running back here for Maryland, and now they're going to review the call, which is what I expected. So they're going to review this touchdown here by Colby McDonald, as we're going to watch it here on the big video board. Junior Colson tackled him, and it actually might be short. Colby McDonald got tackled, and his back fell into the end zone, but the ball was in his stomach, and it's when the ball crossed the plane, and the Michigan fan base goes crazy as the quick review says that he actually was tackled short. So that's kind of what I thought when Junior Colson made that tackle. They did call it a touchdown, and they're going to mark that ball on the 1-yard line. So that brings up 4th and goal here for the Maryland Terrapins. Maryland thinking it has a touchdown. Nothing has been easy for the Terrapins today. This Michigan defense has been playing stellar since that opening drive.
Tagovailoa 5'11", 208 if they want to go to that tush push that we've seen catch fire across football this season.
They're actually bringing in Billy Edwards, the backup quarterback.
And I think they're going to run that play.
Billy Edwards Jr. He tries to get the push. He might get something, and we're going to get a flag here. Refs moving in. Right now they're calling Billy Edwards down, and we have a flag.
I thought he got in. Yeah, he on the second push he got in, but I think this play's going to come back. I don't know what the flag will be, but I couldn't see it being on Michigan.
So they're calling it a touchdown right now, but the flag got thrown exactly at the snap. So someone was definitely offsides here. If Michigan was offsides, it will be a touchdown.
I'm going to show a replay.
They're going to call offsides on the defense. So Michigan lining up offsides wouldn't have mattered even if he didn't get in. And Michigan, despite holding Maryland to nothing on 3 straight plays on the 1-yard line, finally give up the touchdown on the 4th play. And the backup quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr., scores for Maryland. Current score 23-9 pending the extra point.
Well, he's a bigger guy, 6'4", 219. That tush push, like I said, the Eagles have been running it. Every team in football has been. The Patriots ran it for a long time with Brady. Maybe not a tush push, but an old school quarterback sneak, as the extra point is good. And it's an easy way to get a half a yard, especially against a team like Michigan.
So Michigan scoring 20 unanswered points after Maryland's opening drive field goal, comes back finally with a touchdown of its own, bringing the score within 13 points. Michigan has 1 minute and 59 seconds left to move down the field for a possible field goal / touchdown opportunity. And Michigan has definitely proven it can drive down the field in a 2-minute drill, but what is the game plan right now for Michigan trying to preserve that clock? The clock does stop every first down. They only have 1 timeout left. What is Michigan going to do here?
Well, it's really about getting that first down, and then you start moving. You don't want to be in a situation where you're throwing 3 passes down the field, all 3 of them going complete, and you punt the ball away to Maryland. That could leave a situation where Maryland goes into halftime only down 1 score, which is surprising given the defensive plays Michigan has made. The streak will be let up. Michigan in every single half had forced a 3-and-out punt. They do not in this first half. They do have that touchdown and the safety. They did.
Yeah, that was a 3-and-out right there.
Yeah,
yes.
I was just thinking because Michigan scored.
But that technically was a 3-and-out punt.
Yeah, the streak continues, and I'm happy about that. It's something I've been tracking all
A lot of streaks to be preserved in this game. Michigan also not giving up a point in the 3rd quarter yet this season. They'll have an opportunity to keep that streak alive just a little bit. But I completely agree. I think Michigan needs to recognize what has been working. Yes, the run game's been working, but the run game gives up clock. And this is Michigan's opportunity to show that it can still pass the ball. Put the ball in J.J. McCarthy's hands. You trust guys like Samaj Morgan, Colson Loveland, A.J. Barner. They have been your guys this year. And I say Samaj Morgan, the freshman receiver, but he has been lights out. And without Roman Wilson, he kind of fills in that speed threat for Michigan. Having Cornelius Johnson and Tyler Morris as the bigger body receivers. You could go to Cornelius Johnson on the sideline. He's been able to run a lot of hitch routes this year for Michigan too, but definitely trying to get some yardage, getting that first down, trying to preserve some clock, and then moving down the field as it has been on both drives, essentially after that first drive for Michigan this game and really this season. Let's see what Michigan decides to do on offense.
I mean, we've seen Samaj Morgan on that bunch set screen a lot this year. It was used a couple times at Penn State. Penn State finally sniffed it out. You can only run one play in the passing game a bunch so many times before teams start to figure it out, especially one like that that's kind of a gimmick play, catching the defense off guard. Like I said, though, Michigan's just got to get that first down on this drive, and then they can move forward in trying to score before the half is out.
We're seeing the replay once again here. Touchdown by Billy Edwards. You're completely right. That second push got him into the end zone. Michigan stopped him originally, but that 6'4" frame allowed him to keep chugging his way into the end zone. When you have 4 chances on the 1-yard line, something's bound to go right, barring a penalty, and the Michigan offsides would have wiped that away anyways. As we're just about underway here, a little more life now for the Maryland crowd. The fan base a little more excited as it probably was, getting a few texts from my friends who go to Maryland saying good game after Michigan went up 23-3, and game's now a 13-point game. So we'll see what Maryland decides to do here on defense. Maryland rushing -6 yards today. Michigan 88 to Maryland's 110 passing yards. Michigan just 40 yards. Trying to keep the ball on the ground and keep the ball away from the Terrapins on the ground. McCarthy back out on the 25-yard line. Touchback in the back of the end zone. And Michigan will start on its own 25. Three receivers to McCarthy's left, one to his right. Donovan Edwards next to him. Ball gets handed off to Edwards as Edwards chugs up the middle for a gain of 2. Make that 3 yards. And Maryland calls its first timeout. So very interesting play call there, William, on the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah, Michigan's got to move the ball. Edwards is hurt. He's clutching something. Going to the sidelines.
Edwards does look like he's in a little bit of pain. Grabbing his face. Took his helmet off. Now the training staff is going to take a look at him. So he's going to move to the sideline. Thought he was going to be back in play. Blake Corum comes into the game for him. So now 2nd and 7 from the 28-yard line. 1:55 left here in the second quarter. McCarthy has 2 receivers to his right and to his left. Now Samaj Morgan moves from right to left. McCarthy draws back to pass. He's looking right. He finally finds Cornelius Johnson, and Johnson gets tackled out of bounds for the first down. That ball is going to get marked at the 38-yard line for Michigan.
And now Michigan can start moving the football, taking some chances. If they punt, it'll go down to the Maryland end zone. Get in field goal range, score a touchdown. All the options are available now after that first down.
Ball going out of bounds, so 1:49 left here. McCarthy draws back to pass once again. He's still looking right. He has a receiver wide open. That's Tyler Morris. Tyler Morris down the sideline and gets pushed out of bounds at the opposing 38-yard line. First down, Michigan. Tackled by Dante Trader Jr. on that play. Michigan.
Yeah, and Morris just running a flag route, gets wide open in between the hole of the safety and the corner. I think Michigan can do a lot of that in this game. They just have been choosing to run the ball.
McCarthy, 2 quick plays there. Now he hands the ball off to Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards moves forward for a couple. 1:35 left here in the second quarter. Michigan moving quickly now. 2nd and 6 on the 32-yard line. Michigan already in field goal range. McCarthy draws back to pass, looking left. He has a receiver. Tyler Morris didn't turn around quick enough, and that ball trickles out of his hands incomplete. He just came out of the break of his route and did not see the ball coming his way quick enough, and that's going to be a 3rd and 6 now from the 32-yard line.
Yeah, that first run to Edwards was a bit of a waste play. Second play, Maryland brought a blitz. Michigan just didn't have any routes to beat the blitz. We'll see this 3rd down.
Whole Michigan team looking to its sideline. Big play here, 1:21 left in the second quarter. 3rd and 6 for the Wolverines. Michigan hands the ball off to Donovan Edwards. And Edwards only gets up to the 30-yard line, and now Maryland is signaling that the ball might be for them. Ball might have come out. I couldn't see it from my vantage point. Saying Donovan Edwards was down. So 4th and 4 now on the 30-yard line, but the Maryland defense is screaming at the sideline trying to get a replay out of this.
And these shadows here at CQ Stadium are playing into an inability to see what's really going on in the field.
They're going to review this. Maryland calls a timeout here. They did rule Donovan Edwards down on the field. Even if Michigan retains possession, it's going to be 4th and 4. So we're seeing another replay here. Donovan Edwards gets tackled by Bo Braid. And Edwards' elbow hits the ground. So I believe he's going to be down before he loses the ball. Nice tackle there by Bo Braid. He's been everywhere here in this first half. And the Michigan offense is coming back on the field here. So 4th and 4 on the 30-yard line. Wind definitely playing a factor as to why Michigan does not want to kick a field goal here. Up 13. Field goal will make it up 16. So 4th and 4. Michigan keeping its offense on the field. Big play here in the second quarter. McCarthy, shotgun formation. drops back to pass. He's looking right. He has a receiver. Nice catch there by Colson Loveland. Colson Loveland dragging the toes, and he gets marked down at the 19-yard line, moving the sticks and stopping the clock at 1:13 here in the second quarter.
Well, he's a freak. I mean, are you kidding me? He catches this ball just the strongest hands to haul that football in. Really wasn't open. McCarthy threw him open, threw a good pass. But great coverage on Loveland, just makes an incredible play to move these chains.
Bo Braid on the stop. McCarthy dropping back to pass once again. He's looking left. He has his running back, Blake Corum, and Blake Corum goes down at the 9-yard line. Blake Corum trips himself up, and Michigan will be in hurry-up offense once again. 1 minute left, 2nd and 1 on the 9-yard line. Michigan has an opportunity here to move the chain still. They run the ball to Corum. Corum up the middle. He loses the ball, and Trevor Keegan quickly falls on it. Blake Corum loses the football. Trevor Keegan, the right guard, smartly jumps on it.
And Michigan up 13, but just a little sleepy. The little things today have been biting them, I think.
And Michigan will call its final timeout. 41 seconds left here in the first half. Ball on the 9-yard line. Michigan can still stop the clock by getting the first down. Clock will stop, so Michigan might try to come out here with a quick run play, but have to be mindful. They have to stop the clock and keep the chains moving. If they do get stopped here on 4th down, the clock will continue to run, and you will probably see Michigan run out its field goal unit trying to get a last-second field goal. That was a quick 30-second timeout. We haven't had many of those in this first half. So the Michigan offense back on the field. Michigan electing to go with 4 receivers, 5 offensive linemen, Blake Corum next to McCarthy. Loveland and Barnum now move inside. Ball is handed off to Corum. Corum tries to squeeze his way for the first down. They're going to move the chains, so first down, Blake Corum. Michigan will have a 1st and goal now, 39 seconds left. Clock is currently stopped. Now it's starting to run again. McCarthy, shotgun formation. Drops back to pass. He's looking right. Now he's looking left. Now he's rolling right. He tries to pass. He eludes a defender. He has to throw the ball in the end zone, and he throws it into traffic, and that gets batted away. J.J. McCarthy threw the ball where there were 4 Maryland defenders targeting A.J. Barner. Definitely a scary play right there, and Michigan very lucky to come away with the 2nd and goal.
And I don't know what he was looking for on that throw. J.J. has been a victim of playing hero ball this season, taking unnecessary sacks, making unnecessary throws. The play was covered up, clock running, just roll out and throw the ball out.
J.J. McCarthy very lucky there. 2 Maryland defenders tried to go for the pick. They kind of batted away from each other. 2nd and goal here from the 7. McCarthy drops back to pass. Look over the middle, and he gets intercepted. J.J. McCarthy intercepted by J. Sean Barnum, and Barnum runs out on the sideline at the 17-yard line, and that's going to be first down Maryland, 18 seconds left. McCarthy, 2 errant throws. 2nd one gets picked off, intended for Colson Loveland, and Maryland will have a first down here with 18 seconds left. Michigan cannot capitalize inside the 10-yard line.
It's not even an errant throw. It's just, frankly, an awful decision. That's the same exact coverage that Maryland played on the previous play where they covered up the tight end over the middle, Loveland. Barner now working in the pattern. J.J. throws it exactly where he wanted to throw it before, but the linebacker, Barham, is right there. You cannot make that throw, and it's something I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. J.J. can only throw the ball 1 speed, a fastball. He has to lay that over the top. There's no reason to throw that ball as hard as you can when the window is over the top, not over the middle. The linebacker's there. Just things in this game that worry you as a Michigan fan. Execution, decision-making, that's a poor throw. That's a very, very poor decision by J.J. McCarthy.
As Maryland takes a knee, so that will close out the half, and Michigan just having all the momentum in the world in this game, scoring 20 unanswered points, up 23-3 at one point, give up a touchdown and then an interception, and now this game's 23-10 going into the half. as Michigan leads, but definitely does not feel like as big of a lead as Michigan should have had at this point in this game.
Well, they'll get the ball at halftime, and they're always a better team. The last game that J.J. McCarthy threw an interception against Bowling Green, he threw 3 in that game. They didn't turn the ball over at all in the second half, so we'll have to see. I'm at a loss for words at a quarterback as experienced as McCarthy, seeing a certain coverage the play before and throwing into the exact same coverage. Also the fact that they're running the same kind of play with a tight end crossing route over the middle. They know what Maryland wants to do, and frustrating.
So Michigan, with J.J. McCarthy, moved the ball down the field multiple times in this game. Defense scores a touchdown. Special teams blocks a punt. That's why your score is 23-10. But McCarthy on back-to-back throws, throwing it into extreme coverage. And I completely agree with you, William. With a guy in McCarthy who has so much experience, has been able to make the right decisions for most of this season. He hasn't even been given many opportunities to make bad decisions because he's been so fortunate, in my personal opinion, that he's had the guys open. The run game has started to really work. He hasn't had to rely on himself as much. And McCarthy trying to make a play in this game, rolling right first, throwing into double coverage. Both guys get the hands on the ball. It goes incomplete. In the second time, throwing the ball right at the Maryland defender, thinking he's just going to go over the defender into his tight end's hands. That's easily picked off. And Michigan, it just feels like they should be up by more right now.
They should be. That's all I can say. You can hear how frustrated I am, so I think we'll go to halftime.
I think we will go to halftime. So for Jake Singer, my esteemed partner William Gregory on the call here in the first half. We will have our colleagues Kelin, Flynn, and Eddie Olejniczak in the second half. So we really urge you all to stick around. With definitely this game is way closer, I think, any of us could have imagined about 10 minutes ago in this game, as we're going to let you all hear the Maryland band play here at halftime. So sit back, relax, take a bathroom break, do what you need to do, as Michigan will get the ball in the second half as they lead the Maryland Terrapins 23-10. Stay right there and enjoy the halftime show.
Branch's song is announced so that we may thank you for your service. The United States Air Force. The United States Space Force. The United States Marine Corps. The United States Coast Guard. The United States Army. The United States time for all the great U.S. service members and veterans. We thank you for your service to our nation. At this time, we welcome to the field the University of Maryland's featured twirler, Gabrielle Steve. Gabby began twirling at 3 years old and is now one of the most decorated tennis players in the country for baton twirling. Representing the U.S. in 4 World Championships and 2 Grand Prix Internationals, she's won a total of 9 gold medals. And this past July, she competed in the National Baton Twirling Association Championships, winning their most prestigious award and title, College Miss Majorette of America. Please join us in congratulating Gabby on her amazing accomplishments. Gabby Steve. And now for your halftime entertainment, the Mighty Sound of Maryland presents a collection of some of the greatest theme songs of anime. We're starting with Curtain Rovia. Suit up for Neon Genius Evangeline's opening theme, A Cruel Angel's Aces. And for one of the most critically acclaimed shows of all time, here's the unrivaled chain that'll have you saying, "See Space Cowboy." From Cowboy Bebop, here is Tank. And at this time, we would like to recognize the graduating seniors of the mighty sound of Maryland. Jaden Andrews, Tiffany Bixler, Jolene Blair, Maddie Brown, Dylan Capaglia, Alexis Castillo, Jillian Copeland, Michael Crawford, Jonah Dunchek, Zohad Faisal, Manny Pitzel, Logan Glauser, Brian Glover, Greg Jackson, Chloe Johnson, Connor Keesh, Peter Kozlov, Andrew Loveland, Michael Malongo, Hannah Marzelli, Olivia Martin, Athena Matthews, Nicola Maynard, Ellie Meeks, Kylie Morgan, Charlotte Norris, Alexis Paul, Jeremy Brett, Dawson Reed, Alexis Savage, Catherine Scholler, Jay Smith, Susanna Sprendel, Gabby Steve, Sid Sue, Crystal Tavares, Tabitha Tibbs, Grace Chipper, Ashley Tran, Matt Tremba, Ethan Van Emberg, Matt Weiss, Paige Von Saul, Kai Walter, Emily Wolf, and the graduate assistants, Zach Harwell and Will Hernandez. And in honor of all these great students' hard work and dedication to the Maryland Band program, as well as the university, please rise now and join us in singing our alma mater, conducted by Dr. Andrea Brown. Thank you, seniors, and one more time, I'd like to hear it for the mighty sound of Maryland! And we hope you can stick around after the game for the mighty sound of Maryland.
Welcome back to WCBN Sports live coverage of Michigan football. Thank you to Jake and William for a great first half. My name's Kelin Flynn. Alongside me, my good friend, Eddie Olejniczak. Eddie, we've come a long way from Lockmore Boulevard. Now we're in the heart of College Park. We were in D.C., the nation's capital, last night doing some exploring, getting to see some of our founding fathers, some of the nation's greatest monuments. And now we're watching the Michigan football team, and it was a first half that had some ups and downs from the Wolverines, highlighted by excellent defensive and special teams play, particularly the block punt that led to a safety and the strip sack fumble. Michael Barrett punched it out, and Derek Moore took it in for 6. What did you like the most from Michigan in that first half, Eddie? We kind of got to sit back and just observe here in this kind of makeshift press booth that we're in.
Yeah, happy to be here, Kelin. Happy that we traveled along this entire way together, and cool experience for both of us to be here. But for Michigan, I mean, that first half was all up and down. They would be on the offensive side of the ball and do nothing really much with it, and then the defensive side of the ball seemed to shine through in the first quarter, and then an automatic flip of a switch to the opposite in the second quarter, where Michigan's offense was the stunner there in the early couple drives, and then the defense kind of showed up at the end. But Michigan's kind of got to get back on that horse. I think they kind of doubted Maryland. They saw Maryland last week at Nebraska kind of not do too much against a Nebraska team that Michigan had played very well against. So I think it's just a little bit of doubting. I'm sure they went into the locker room, got a little heated with the coach, and they're going to come back out here and kind of rip apart Maryland. That's the hope. They just got to be strong on the offensive side of the ball. I think defense will take care of itself. I know Roman Wilson's probably most likely still out for Michigan. So just going to be looking forward to seeing who's going to step up and fill his role here in the second half.
Eddie, let's take it around the conference real quick before we get back to the action. A couple of Big Ten schools playing right now. Michigan State up 7 as they come out of the half, up 14-7 on Indiana. Rutgers and Penn State doing battle in Happy Valley. Nittany Lions on top 10-6. And the Wildcats of Northwestern up 9-0 against Purdue. Big Ten West has been a dogfight all season.
Yeah, those games in the Big Ten West today, I mean, they could have a little bit of impact to Michigan, especially if we keep it close here. But it's kind of all Iowa's show over there as of right now.
And with Michigan knocking off Penn State, there's no chance of the Big Ten West opponent records coming into play if it would have been a 3-way tie atop the Big Ten East. We're ready to go here from College Park, CQ Stadium. Again, about just inside an hour away from the nation's capital. Indiana just tied up that game against Michigan State. Michigan's going to kick it off, boot it away to the Terrapins. Talia Tagovailoa will get things going for Maryland to start the second half.
Michigan's still going back into the win here to start off the second half, so that's still going to play a factor in our kicking game here. But doming off kickoff should be able to give this a touchback.
Tommy Doman will boot it away for Michigan. He's been the kickoff specialist all year for the Wolverines, has been pretty solid in that role. We've had some issues with wind, but no trouble here for Doman as he boots that high. It'll be fielded at about the 2-yard line, and around the 20 is where Michigan will make the tackle. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Terrapins from the 22.
Yeah, one of those highlights of Michigan this year, I would say, is that kickoff team. I mean, they've definitely stepped up here. I would say they won't average past the 10, 15-yard return at the max, so definitely keeps this defense in a playable position all year long, and it definitely shows for our statistics.
Braden Wisłowski was the return man there for the Terps. Here comes Tagovailoa. Claps his hands in the pistol. It's a handoff to Hemby. Roman Hemby picks up a couple, and he's going to be driven into the turf. Mason Graham was in there for the Wolverines, the talented sophomore, a part of that really deep interior defensive line group. We've talked about Chris Jenkins, the Maryland native who's playing just about 30 minutes from his hometown. Tagovailoa in the gun. Has Hemby to his right. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Ernest Hausman in the game. No Michael Barrett. Hemby switches over to the left side of the formation. Tagovailoa claps his hands. It's play action. Looking downfield, right side. And that's going to be caught. Nice contested catch. Tagovailoa put it on a dime for Caden Prather. Contested coverage. It was well played by Josh Wallace, but a better play by Prather. The junior makes a big catch in. That'll flip the field. Maryland has it at about the Michigan 45. They'll mark it at the 43.
Yeah, and it looks like the backup right guard, Corey Bullock, is down on the sideline, so they had to try to do the hurry-up offense, but kind of take it back there for Maryland. But fantastic catch, going up and kind of climbing to that next level and getting it over the Michigan defender. But Maryland storming down the field once again, see what Michigan can do to kind of fight back here.
Maryland currently in Michigan territory. The Wolverines have not given up a single point in the third quarter all season. Maryland trying to break that streak here. Tagovailoa, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the conference, just behind McCarthy and McCord. Claps his hands, handoff up the middle. That's Roman Hemby down at the 40. He was tackled by Chris Jenkins, making an impact at his homecoming of sorts.
Yeah, and Hemby's had a bounce-back week from last week. I know he had 2 fumble losses last week against Nebraska, but he's kind of turned it around here and been this solid core for this offensive.
Handoff to Hemby again, this time to the left side, and he'll pick up a couple.
Maryland's done a good job coming out here today and matching our run game. I mean, that's not something we saw from them most of the season. It's kind of that Big Ten style of football, just running it up the gut. But Maryland taking a little bit of the Michigan playbook and kind of running it up the middle, going a little bit of motion early on here.
Tagovailoa, handoff on 3rd and 4, play action. He's under pressure, stepping up, evades Jenkins, throws over the middle of the field, and it's incomplete. Home crowd wants a flag. And there's some discussion amongst the officiating crew. I believe a flag may have been thrown. And they're going to get it. Roughing the passer called. That's going to be on Mason Graham, and he lowered the shoulder late there. That's one you got to stay away from if you're Michigan. Had Tagovailoa under pressure and just forced an incompletion on 3rd and 4. Instead, that's a 15-yard penalty, and Maryland's knocking on the door, ball at the 21.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Michigan to clap back a little bit here and just get one defensive stop. Maryland seems to be storming down the field with no replays.
And now they're going to go under the hood here. Review for targeting on Mason Graham. That would be a big blow. Again, scores 23-10. Michigan with a 2-score lead, but Maryland is driving, and this offense can put up points in a hurry. Tagovailoa leads the conference in attempts, completions, yards, and touchdowns through the air. So no shortage of explosive offense here at College Park. Roman Hemby, a capable back as well. This Michigan defense has to be careful.
Yeah, and if this penalty stands for targeting, Mason Graham's loss here would be huge for this Michigan defense. He's been a leader on this team throughout this season. And
more importantly, Eddie, this coming now early in the third quarter would mean that Mason Graham would miss the first half of Ohio State as well. That's an even bigger impact than anything that happens here today. Losing a starter for the first half of Ohio State would be a huge blow. So this is really a massive penalty call here that could have an impact greater than what we see today.
Yeah, and this Michigan team can't really afford too many more losses on this defensive side. If they keep this up and keep dwindling down, you know, you're going to rely on guys that have gotten maybe 10 snaps all year throughout all the games this season, and those were most likely early on in September. So.
And a sigh of relief from the Michigan sideline. No targeting on Mason Graham. That's huge news for the Wolverines. He's not only going to stick around for the rest of the contest today, but he'll be good to go against the Buckeyes in the first half. And we've talked about the depth of this interior defensive line. Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, Chris Jenkins, Rayshawn Benny, and Cam Good. It's one of the deepest groups in the country. But again, losing a star like Graham would be a huge blow. 1st and 10 from the 21 now for Tagovailoa. 2 receivers split to the left. Couple of extra tight ends in line. Play action, looking to the left, got a man. Inside down to about the 8-yard line. That's Ty Felton on the reception. Terps knocking on the door. Inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal from the 8. And this Michigan defense has been on its heels down the stretch here. Antoine Littleton II will check in at tailback. And he'll be in the pistol. Behind Tagovailoa. It's a fake. Tagovailoa going to run out to the right side. And that is incomplete. Tried to throw it away. Mike Sainristil grabbed it, but they're going to call him out of bounds. Sainristil tried to drag the back foot as we get this replay. And he's just out of bounds. Really close call there.
Yeah, good defensive pressure by the Wolverines. That's the first time they had to pressure him out of the pocket here on this entire drive.
Talia Tagovailoa trying to lead the Terps down the field to make this a one-score game. 23-10, just under 12 minutes to play in the quarter. It's a fake. Keeper for Tagovailoa, and he's spun down at the 2-yard line. Tagovailoa faked it to Littleton and kept it himself on the left side.
Yeah, one of the captains of this team, Mikey Sainristil, came across the field to make that tackle and save the touchdown. Hopefully the effort by him here can get a stop and hopefully settle for 3, but 7's looking inevitable at this point in this movement.
Big 3rd down here. 3rd and goal from the 2. Michigan trying to bend, not break. This is the most vulnerable they've looked outside of Penn State all season. Against the Maryland team that just snapped a 4-game losing streak last week against Nebraska. Tagovailoa in the shotgun, claps his hands. It's a handoff up the middle to Littleton. And he's short. Down at the half-yard line. That Michigan front stands tall. Now a big decision for Mike Loxley and this coaching staff, as it looks like they're going to trot out the backup quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr., who we saw earlier today punch one in on a quarterback sneak, that tush push that we've seen the Eagles popularize.
Yeah, and he's the solid option for the tush push. If you're going to go for it and be aggressive here, he's got the height and the size behind it. We'll see if that's what they go for, if they fake out the tush push.
That's what they've got in here. Jumbo package in. Edwards Jr. under center. This is going to be close. I don't know if he got it, Eddie. The officials are running in to mark him short. Terrapins want a touchdown, and they've got it. Billy Edwards Jr. punches it in for Maryland. And we've got ourselves a one-score ball game, 23-16. 2 rushing touchdowns from the backup quarterback, number 9. And Billy Edwards Jr. has been the unsung hero for the Terrapins today.
Yeah, and getting a look at the replay right now, I know they're going to take a look up there, but just pure effort by this Maryland offensive push here. And that was an impressive drive against this Michigan defense, just down the field with no regrets there.
And that's the first points Michigan has given up in the 3rd quarter all season. It's 7 for the Terrapins, 23-17. J.J. McCarthy and company will get a chance to strike back. And Eddie, this offense for Michigan today has been spotty, I guess is a word you could use. 9 points from the defense and the special teams. Michigan scored 2 offensive touchdowns, both via Blake Corum. But this has not been the #1 scoring offense in the Big Ten that we've seen throughout this season. Coming into the game, Michigan averaging 39 points a game. And they're sitting here with 23 early in the third quarter. So again, can still very easily put up a couple of big plays and get back to what we're accustomed to seeing from this group. But it's been kind of a slog early against the Maryland defense that did not inspire a ton of fear coming into today.
No, and I think mentally this team is in shambles. This offensive side of the ball, they've been so dominant. I know the strength of schedule is always a big point. Early on in the year, they don't really have to strengthen it outside of just going through the motions. So I think this is the time for them to shine, and they have to come out of this and start the second half with a strong push. If you don't get 7 here, I think you should be very concerned for this team. I think JJ has to kind of step up here, take a captain's role, and lead down the field. If that includes less runs, more big throws, your tight ends, bring them into the game in the package here. They got to go down and get 7 here. I don't think 3 does anything for this team and their motivation.
And, I mean, we've kind of talked about this game like it was a sure thing. It's not at this point. 23-17, Maryland is coming. And coming into the season, a lot of people had this game circled as a potential upset spot for the Wolverines. You come off a big-time emotional victory in Penn State. No Jim Harbaugh. Sharon Moore gets the notice that he's the head coach less than 24 hours before kickoff. Comes in. They grind out a gritty win in Happy Valley. And now you have to come to Maryland, away game, senior night, senior day, ahead of OSU, the game a week from today. You found out your head coach is going to be suspended for the rest of the regular season, and you have to come out and still execute and beat a Maryland team that has one of the best quarterbacks in the conference.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kelin.
So the Terps are ready to boot it away. We've seen Jack Howes really just squib it most of the day today. Squib it, pop it up, pooch kicks. They have not gone right at Samaj Morgan. We'll see what they elect to do here. 10:23 to go. Michigan on top, 23-17. We've got a ball game from College Park. Howes set to boot it away, and this time he'll send it into the end zone for a touchback.
Yeah, and Kelin, I don't know if many people in this stadium were expecting this outcome, midway through the third quarter. I know the student section's the most packed I've seen it since, their first or second game of this season. So I think it's interesting. The Michigan sideline should get loud, and hopefully going forward, JJ can just spark something that we haven't seen yet today.
Well, you talked about the Michigan sideline. We're behind the Maryland bench. This is where the press box is situated. Behind the Michigan bench is all maize and blue. JJ hands it off up the middle to Corum, picks up about 5 on the carry. When I mean it is all maize and blue, I mean across the field from us, from the furthest right part of the stadium is the most concentrated, but all the way, about 2/3 of the way over, is all maize and blue. A good quarter of this stadium is exclusively maize and blue, and there's a lot more sprinkled throughout. JJ in the pistol, another handoff to Blake Corum up the gut. He'll be stopped short of the line to gain, bring up 3rd and a pair.
Yeah, and these Maryland fans have been through a lot this year. Started off pretty hot, had a little bit of a dry period there, but this Maryland sideline is going crazy here. They are the happiest in the world to be in this game, and this defense needs to make a stop here if they want to come back out with a little bit more fire.
This might be the loudest we've heard this place so far. Maryland bench is getting rowdy. JJ in the shotgun. Corum to his left. They bring Loveland in motion. Another handoff up the middle to Blake Corum. Corum, and I think he's going to be stopped short. 4th down and 1. Big decision here for Michigan. And I believe Sharon Moore is going to use a timeout.
No,
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think just switching out packages there. Kelin, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a lot of heads hanging low on that Michigan sideline not getting that first down there, and that package for the punt came out very slowly.
Doman will come on to boot it away from Michigan. Tarheeb still back deep to receive, and Eddie, you're not wrong. You can feel the energy has the wind has come out of the sails of this Michigan sideline. Sills calls for a fair catch. 1st and 10 from the 24 for Tagovailoa and company. And yeah, Eddie, you're absolutely right. It's just there's no juice on that Michigan bench right now, and somebody needs to be the spark because Coach Harbaugh isn't there to provide it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it comes from players. I don't know if it comes from some of your head coaches, assistants that are down there, but someone needs to get these guys going. I mean, this is not the same team that we've seen after big wins and pumping each other up. It's a lot of feeling sorry for ourselves, so you got to make a play here. Hopefully, I don't know, an interception, a big tackle, a sack, something for a loss just to get them going. I know these second, third string guys definitely want the chance, so if you're going to hang your head, step aside.
And we've seen the Michigan defense and special teams make plays today. Can they provide another spark? The Wolverine defense had the strip sack return for a touchdown in the first quarter that got things going. And you have to find something here, Eddie, exactly like you're talking about. Lean on these captains. Mike Sainer still. The big turning point in this post-COVID era of Michigan football is what I guess you can call it, since the COVID year when Michigan won 2 games and really struggled. Since then, they've lost 3 times. They lost to Michigan State in East Lansing in the Kenneth Walker game. They lost against Georgia in the Orange Bowl, and they lost to TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. That's it.
Yeah.
So this is a team that has seen a lot of high points and has been able to fight through some rough patches in games. You don't go 3 years with 3 losses without being able to battle through adversity. Look at that Illinois game last season ahead of OSU. That was a really close game late in the season that Michigan pulled out by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, and we've seen it the past couple of years. I mean, this team is something special, but when they get down on themselves like this, it's hard to pull them back around, and that's where you're going to miss Harbaugh the most. He can give these guys a little bit of fire and give them that speech in the sideline and get them going. So hopefully that's happening on the Michigan sideline. Long media timeout as always, but hopefully they get something going here, and they just got to get a little spark, get a little something. Get these half of a full stadium of Michigan fans something to cheer for, because right now, you know, you're up, but mentally you're down, and it's not a good look when the Maryland sideline is dancing down by 6 here.
And we've seen this Michigan program enjoy going into opposing buildings and kind of taking over and feeding off of that environment. We saw it in Wisconsin a couple years ago. When Jump Around came on, the team was dancing on the sidelines. We've seen it at Ohio State. I mean, the toughest environments in the conference this team has gone to and had success. Happy Valley last weekend. And now in College Park, Maryland, they're getting some adversity thrown their way. Both teams on the field now. For Michigan, can the defense make a stand? The talented secondary with Josh Wallace, Mike Sainer still, Rod Moore, Makari Page, Will Johnson. The defensive front with Moore, Grant, Graham, Stewart. Tagovailoa in the shotgun. Got his back to his left, dropping back to pass. Looks left, throws left, up the field. He's got a man open, and he just overthrew his man. My goodness, Ty Felton had Josh Wallace beat on a double move, a little out, and then he just took off down the field. Tagovailoa just overthrew him, and we don't see him miss a lot.
No, and Michigan's playing a weird defense today. It's like a soft zone that moves into a man once you get to the safety level. But, I mean, if that was on a dime, he was gone for another 6.
Terrapins miss one there. Michigan with a break. Empty set. Tagovailoa dropping back to pass over the middle of the field. Got it. There's a hookup for a first down at the 41-yard line. Octavian Smith Jr., the sophomore, hauls it in, and Terrapins are going to go quick. Littleton the back in it for pass protection. Over the middle of the field, that's caught. And a big-time tackle in space. I believe that was Rod Moore who made the tackle. Corey Dyches, the tight end, who's made some noise today. 1 yard pickup, 2nd and 9. Tagovailoa looks left, throws left, and that's going to be picked off. Who else? Mikey Sainristil. And I don't think they've whistled this one dead yet. Is that the 3rd pick 6 of the season for Mike Sainristil, Eddie? I think it is. And they'll send this one to the replay booth, but he was not whistled down. It looked like he was tackled onto a Terrapin.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was down there, Eddie.
I don't see an elbow or a knee that hit the ground.
That's really
Very
close right there. Oh, I think, wow, that's so close.
Either way, Mikey Sanders still.
I think his elbow touched down there.
Igniting the spark for this Michigan offense to just come back out here and hopefully build off of that, even if they call it back for the 6th. But, I mean, that looked like a replica play from MSU.
So a big tackle from Caden Prather, who was the intended target. And just like that, the captain, not Makari Page, Mikey Sainristil makes a big impact play to kind of right the ship for Michigan. He has been so good this season for the Wolverines in that nickel spot, doing whatever's asked of him in that captain's role, stepping up. That's the 9th interception of the season for Tagovailoa.
Yeah, and Mikey Sanders still, I saw this on First Take the other day. They compared him to Steph Curry, which I didn't get at first, but his movement and motion off the ball is insane. He has eyes in the back of his head. He makes moves across the field from where he lined up, and I agree with them. He's one of our top defensemen. He's definitely one of the captains out there, and he's playing like he should be. And he wants to go to the NFL coming up soon, so I think he can get there if he keeps up this hot streak that he's been on all season long.
Well, we've seen him earlier this season. I mean, especially once he gets the ball in his hands, be so dangerous. 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns earlier in the season, 1 against Rutgers and 1 against the Spartans in what was a dominant blowout victory for Michigan. So the Wolverine defense steps up yet again, the top scoring defense in the conference. Makes a big play.
Yeah, and that pass knowledge from Mikey Sanders still about being a wide receiver his first couple years here and then moving over to the defensive side has shown through to this defensive side of the ball that Michigan plays. He tracks the ball like no other, and he's the spark for this team, and Michigan has to capitalize here. They got to go up a little bit more, get a little safety net here as we move to the midway of the 3rd quarter. You don't want to be this close in the 4th. You kind of want to either blow them out or just kind of cruise home on cruise control. But Michigan's got to go forward strong from here on out.
And Eddie, that last drive, I mean, you talk about missed chances for Maryland. The long ball to Ty Felton that Tagovailoa just missed would have been 6. Then the little drag route to Dyches. Great tackle by Rod Moore in space. If he doesn't make that play, that could be a huge pickup for the Terrapins. Instead, it winds up being a pick for Mike Sainristil. Again, just jumped the route, undercut it. So now McCarthy and company will take over near midfield. Corum, the lone tailback, to the left of JJ. Loveland and Samaj Morgan to the left of the formation. Barner and Cornelius Johnson on the right. They bring Samaj Morgan in motion to the right. JJ claps his hands, looking to pass. Got a man, it's Cornelius Johnson, and he's going to have just enough for the first down. Good pitch and catch from 9 to 6.
Yeah, good catch there, and smart play by JJ. First look, if it's not there, just go to your second, and he was quick enough where defense couldn't flip for him there.
Soft zone from Maryland, and JJ takes the underneath stuff and results in a first down. 1st and 10 now from the 41 for Michigan in Terrapin territory. Corum the tailback. It's a handoff to Blake. Blake with a little bit of space before he's dropped. That space closed up real quick. 1 yard gain on the carry for number 2.
Yeah, good dive by the linebackers there of Maryland. The front offensive line for Michigan just could not keep up with that. They were blocking those front offensive guys and just couldn't get across to those 2 blocks to get Corum to break through.
With no Roman Wilson, Samaj Morgan has seen a lot more tread today. Tyler Morris in the game. It's a flea flicker. McCarthy stepping up in the pocket, looking, and he's got Morgan. Samaj Morgan going to be dropped just short of the 30. Real close to a first down. I think he's going to have it. Wolverines have done a lot with the flea flicker this season, and Sharon Moore pulls it out there for the first down.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Samaj Morgan work more into this offense. I know because of injury today, but he's been a solid piece that's kind of been overlooked all year long.
He's so quick, so shifty, and has been really stepping up down the stretch. The West Bloomfield product in the game with now Donovan Edwards, another West Bloomfield product for Michigan. He takes the handoff, and he'll stumble forward close to a first down. Michigan's starting to get things rolling on the offensive side of things.
Yeah, the spark is back for this team. You can see it just the way they run on and off the field and running up the gut there. Donovan Edwards had that little bit of spark and made two tacklers miss to get up and get about 7 for them.
2nd and 3 now for Michigan. Edwards and Corum both in the game. Corum to the left of JJ, Edwards to the right. 2 tight ends as well. Johnson the lone receiver. JJ looking, gonna throw. Corner of the end zone, no one's home. Put it right in between Cornelius Johnson and Colston Loveland.
Yeah, and it looks like Michigan's having to reach into the playbook a little deeper here. Some formation I haven't seen all year long, and both of those guys into the game, so maybe we'll get a little bit of trickery here and hopefully another 6 or 7 points put on the board.
3rd and 3 now. Big third down for this Terrapin defense. 2 tight ends, 2 receivers for Michigan. JJ in the shotgun. Corum to his left. It's a pass. JJ looking. Morris, end zone. Incomplete. And Michigan looking for a flag. They're not going to get one.
Yeah, and I'm a little shocked there, no flag. He tried to work his way back to the ball. Defender wasn't turning his head around until late, and he couldn't get back to that ball that JJ threw on the inside shoulder.
And that was a real good throw by JJ. Morris just couldn't get there, and Michigan keeping the offense on the field. Sharon Moore going for it on 4th and 3. Under 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter on the road at Maryland. Loveland in motion. And a timeout is called, I believe, by Maryland. And Michigan was the team that called the timeout. So Sharon Moore didn't like something he saw out there and elected to take a stoppage. 4:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. Michigan up 6, 23-17. Again, a big safety from the Wolverines on special teams. A block punt from Boyven gave Michigan that extra 2. So, Eddie, what do you think the thought process is here for Coach Moore and the rest of this staff?
You know, I think I like to see points up on the board, so 3 is definitely the safe option, but you're rolling with some momentum. You've worked your way down the field here. If he goes for it on 4th and 3, I'm not against it. Your defense has looked a little shaky today, but they just made a big play, so they're going to be fired up. Worst comes to worst, if you're short, turn the ball over, you're still up, and you have a solid defense with some momentum coming back onto the field. So I like the calling, and for him to go out there, it's good. Go and get it. Earn that title of head coach and make a big call here, and hopefully it pays off for this team.
Sharon Moore thrown into the fire, his second ever time as a head coach. He coached earlier this season with Jim Harbaugh on suspension and got his second crack at it unexpectedly against Penn State. Again, Michigan got that news. That dropped while the team was in the air on their way to Penn State. And the Wolverines elected to withdraw their legal complaint with the courts and have essentially accepted the 3-game suspension for Jim Harbaugh handed down by Tony Petitti in the Big Ten Conference.
Yeah, and for the Wolverines, it's just been a lot of eyes on them recently, and I think they're starting to feel that pressure a little bit. I mean, they don't usually feel that pressure until the last game of the season, regular season, against Ohio State. So something to adjust to, and I'm sure more information is going to come out from both sides. Other schools are going to have similar stuff happen in the near future if we're going to look deeper and deeper into teams. So play through the adversity, and you're up here, build on it, get this win, go home, and get ready for the next week of a big rivalry game.
30 seconds left in the media timeout. 4th and 3 for the Wolverines. Sharon Moore had the offense on the field, called timeout. He's trotting the offense back out there. Both coaching staffs have had a chance to talk things over. We heard some "Where is Harbaugh" chants from this Terrapins student section during the break. Trips to the right side. Morgan, Loveland, and Johnson. Barner in line to the left of Miles Hinton. JJ makes a check with his O-line. Got Corum to his left. Stacked box for the Terrapins. It's a pass. JJ pumps, looks, got his man. Colston Loveland. First down, Michigan.
I love that play call by the Wolverines there. Just a solid, confident throw for JJ moving into the red zone here of a 7-yard gain.
J.J. McCarthy stands tall in the pocket. Sharon Moore putting trust in his quarterback. How about that from number 9? Fires a bullet over the middle of the field for Colston Loveland, and it's 1st and 10 from the 13-yard line. What a big throw from J.J. McCarthy. Big pressure spot for Michigan, and McCarthy pulls through. Corum the single back. It's an end around. Samaj Morgan with speed, getting to the edge. Samaj Morgan just pulled out of bounds. And I think he's going to be marked just short. Going to be marked just short of the end zone. Was just barely pulled out. Oh, that was close, Eddie.
Yeah, that inside the back touchdown referee was given the hands up, and then he was kind of overruled down there.
And so the ruling on the field is a touchdown. Samaj Morgan on the end around just barely reaches to put it in. As this one's going to head to the booth. Wow, that's really close. I think he got that, though.
I think he did. He kept that foot in bounds, which was my worry. But he got that football inside the pylon before being dragged out by the back of his collar.
How about the freshman, Samaj Morgan, making plays late in the season for Michigan? We saw him against Indiana, I believe it was, with a score, and he has only earned more and more play time throughout the season. Obviously, the injury to Roman Wilson today has really thrust him in, but a big touchdown on the end around there, and that's a pretty clear angle. The way we're situated here at CQ Stadium is it was a tough angle for us to see, and the ruling is confirmed. Touchdown, Michigan. Samaj Morgan on the end around puts it in from 13 yards out. Michigan adds 6 more to the lead, pending 7 from the James Turner extra point. Scratch that. Sharon Moore's got his offense still out there. They're going for 2. Michigan trying to extend the lead to 14. Make it a 2-touchdown lead. Originally had everything bunched up. Now they split the two tight ends out wide. JJ, it's a fade. Barner. And it's knocked away. Great coverage that time. That was Jaquan Shepard.
Little extracurriculars here by the Maryland defensive side of the ball getting off the field, but no flags are seen as of this moment.
So we'll stay at 29-17. 4:04 to go in the third quarter. Michigan on top. Big series of events there for the Wolverines. I mean, you see Maryland go down the field and punch it in. Michigan then has to punt it away. They can't get it going. We talked about it, Eddie. That sideline looked deflated. There wasn't a lot of juice. And then all of a sudden, the captain, Mike Sainristil, makes a big play, jumps a pass for an interception. Then Michigan goes down the field. 4th and 3. Sharon Moore leaves his offense on the field. J.J. McCarthy whips it over the middle to Colston Loveland for the pickup. And then the freshman, Samaj Morgan, on a 13-yard end around, puts it in for the score.
Yeah, and I love seeing Samaj Morgan get a little bit of time today. I know it's because the injury and all, but you could avoid him even with him in the game due to that injury. So feeding him, getting some confidence in case Roman misses next week is a great idea by these Wolverines.
Doman to boot it away, and it's going to be returned. Braden Wislowski, the return man, is stopped well short of where he would be if he called a touchback. I believe he was dropped at the 14. Officially marked at the 16-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Terrapin offense now. Mike Loxley's crew will get the strike back.
Yeah, interesting to see how they respond here, if they're going to open up the series as they have in the past with a big pass or just a run up the gut. But the deflatedness sideline has completely switched, as you mentioned earlier. Maryland now looks down.
So here comes Tungavailoa. Claps his hands. It's a keeper. And he is upended. Big hit. I believe that was Jaden McBurrows on the hit, upending Talia Tungavailoa on the keeper. Took it on the left side, and McBurrows came flying in from that cornerback spot to make the hit. 2nd and 11 now. Loss of 1 on the carry. Michigan shows pressure. They bring pressure. Pocket collapsing. Braden McGregor getting after Tungavailoa. He escapes, and he'll throw it away. The Michigan defense trying to make another play. That time, McGregor had Tungavailoa in his crosshairs and just couldn't get him down. Grabbed his ankle, but Talia was able to escape. Now 3rd and 11. This Michigan crowd showing some juice. We talked about it. It was going to be a lot of maize and blue here today, and it is. They're showing out. Empty set for Tungavailoa. Play clock running down. They just barely get it off. It's a screen set up with space, and that's going to be enough for the first down. Big pickup on 3rd and 11. And that was just Deshaun Jones on the screen, set up in the slot, and he had plenty of room to work.
Yeah, good play call there, and great blocking up front to make that all happen. Without that block, 2 blocks that he ran around, play would have been blown up from the start.
Deshaun Jones with the pickup there. Quentin Johnson on the tackle for Michigan. 1st and 10 from the 28. It's a handoff. Hemby picks up 4. Junior Colson, the linebacker for Michigan, on the hit. And they're going to mark him down at the 35. 7-yard pickup. Staying ahead of the sticks. Tungavailoa working quickly. Another handoff to Hemby, and he's got the first down. Big turn of events there for Maryland. Michigan puts the Terrapins in a 3rd and long position, and a big pickup on the screen has the Terps rolling. They're going to continue to play with pace. Tagovailoa fakes another screen, and that's dropped in the bucket. What a throw from Talia Tagovailoa. Jayshon Jones again.
Yeah, not much Mikey Sanders still can do there without committing a foul and
I mean,
penalty.
That's pretty good coverage. He was just a half step behind, but talk about dropping it in the bucket. That's an NFL level throw from one of the best in the conference. I know the Terrapins don't have the same record as Ohio State and Michigan this season, but Tagovailoa's numbers have been better than everyone else in the conference. Drops back to pass again, looking. He's going to go end zone. Prather caught. Touchdown Terrapins. Caden Prather on a go route for 6. How about Talia Tagovailoa with 2 of the best throws I've seen all year? Just puts it on a dime over the top for Caden Prather, who beat Will Johnson down the field. And you don't see that often, Eddie. Will Johnson, one of the best in the country. They're going to take a second look at this one. Prather may have been down at the 1. That was the hesitation on the call.
I mean, you just mentioned it. Those were the 2 most crisp passes I've seen all year. Those are NFL talent. They floated into the receiver's hands. He just tracked it all the way in. And this Michigan defense secondary has just been getting beat flat out today. And other than the 1 interception, there hasn't been much spark for this team. And this doesn't help our case of trying to, make a statement and keep our positioning.
And so Prather's going to be marked short, so take the 6 off the board. Down at the 1. Still goal to go situation. 1st and goal from the 1. 1:17 to play here in the 3rd quarter. 29-17, Michigan on top.
And Michigan made a stand in this position last time, 3 straight plays and then the tush push, but hopefully they can kind of keep them out here for a couple plays and hopefully only get 3 off of this drive for Maryland.
And Billy Edwards Jr. in the game again. Why not? It worked the first 2 times. 1st and goal from the 1, and I don't think he got it there.
Should be just a touch short, maybe the half-yard line.
Half-yard pickup there from Billy Edwards Jr. Some Terrapins are signaling touchdown, but the officials will mark him short. Talia walked onto the field, but they're going to keep Edwards in there. Again, Eddie, it's worked twice today. We've seen it that it's such an unstoppable play, and they're going to go right back to it. Jumbo set in formation for the tush push. Edwards, he's got it. Touchdown Terps.
Yeah, not much you can do there. Big size difference on those lines.
Waiting for the official signal, and there it is. So put those 6 back on the board for Maryland, 29-23, pending the extra point now. Yeah, and there's no reason to go for 2 here. 16 seconds left in the quarter. We've got a good one from College Park, Eddie. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned in to WCBN Sports live coverage of Michigan football. BAT here for Howes. Snap, hold, all good, and the kick is through. 29-24, Terps aren't going away. This has been a fun second half so far. Michigan really getting a test here. We all talked about it all offseason, all up until that Penn State game, that these 3 games were going to be the 3 most difficult games of the year, and Maryland to start the season was red hot, then dropped 4 straight in the month of October and into November. got right against Nebraska last weekend and now is trying to pull off the upset against Michigan.
Yeah, and this team's been something to fear ever since, we kind of moved into this new era of them having quarterbacks in depth and wide receiver for Maryland's offense. So moving forward, I think they're still going to be feared. They're getting recruits now. They've had a little bit of success, 3 years straight of bowl eligibility. So I think Michigan has to put this one on the radar, same way they put Penn State and some of those other big-time games up there.
And yet again, we see the football get blown over by the wind. Again, 16 seconds to go in the quarter. Michigan up 5. You talked about it, Eddie. This program has really done a good job at producing NFL talent at receiver in particular. Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore, two of the best that play on Sundays. And they've picked up some high-end recruits throughout the way as well, as Howes boots this one away. That's going to go clean into the end zone, through the end zone for a touchback. J.J. McCarthy heading back onto the field for Michigan as Tungavailoa punches right back. These two quarterbacks, we might have a chance to see some special stuff here. Two of the best in the conference going back and forth. Peyton O'Leary into the game at receiver for Michigan. He's in between Tyler Morris and Cornelius Johnson. Barner in line at the left side of the formation. McCarthy in the shotgun. Has Corum to his right. Corum shifts over to the left side. One safety back deep for Maryland. Morris in motion. It's a handoff to Corum. Corum with a little bit of space. Twisted down after a pickup of about 3. So that'll do it for the third quarter. Michigan 29, Maryland 24. As before we officially hit 0, there's an injured Wolverine that looked like Miles Hinton that's down on the turf. And it is. So this training staff will come over to take a peek at him. We saw Donovan Edwards head into the tunnel earlier. It appears that he's back on the field. But Miles Hinton down on the turf, that'd be a big blow for Michigan. And we know they have depth at offensive line. That was a big point of emphasis this offseason for the Wolverines, was to bring in depth at offensive line, and they've done that. They brought in Hinton from Stanford. They brought in Drake Nugent from Stanford and Ladarius Henderson from Arizona State.
Yeah, and Kelin, this would be a hit, but you talk about that depth, and this is one of the top offensive lines that they've had in this country. So, I mean, moving forward, I think they'll be fine, and hopefully it's just a little cramping or something not too serious with the knees, because I know that's the common issue with these offensive linemen. But, Kelin, I mean, you've asked me a couple times, what would you like to see here on this offensive drive from the Wolverines? I know they need a little bit of a spark, and who do you want to be the guy to call upon in this situation? Is it JJ? Is it Corum to have a couple big runs?
Well, Hinton has gotten up and is walking off with the help of trainers. He's headed straight for the locker room. So Barnhart will shift to the left side at left tackle, and Trente Jones will slide in at right tackle for Michigan. So that'll end the fourth quarter. To answer your questions, Eddie, I think if you're Michigan, you've got to keep it in the hands of number 9. Corum's been solid today, and so was Edwards. But that last drive from J.J. McCarthy really impressed me. He made some great throws. He made a throw to Tyler Morris in the corner of the end zone that wasn't hauled in on that 3rd and 3, but it was a great ball. Morris just couldn't quite extend out for it. I think you have to let your star quarterback go to work here. That's what Maryland's doing. Maryland's saying, hey, listen, we've got a guy, number 3. He's pretty good. Let's let him throw the ball. Let's let him spin it. And it's resulted in 6.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think there's a more hypocritical team than the Wolverines when having talent at quarterback and handing it off every single play. So JJ's a generational talent if he's formed into the right thing, and I think he needs to show it here and have a couple tosses downfield, 10-yard pickups. If we just do quick plays, I think you can move down the field, start building some confidence, take a shot here or there, and you can have the run play still mixed in, but you got to make progress down the field. I think that's been our biggest weak point today is we kind of get stuck in this one area of 3-4 yard gains, and then we get stopped on third down, and there's no coming back from that when you're trying to play against a good team and a team with a little bit of fire underneath them as Maryland is, and trying to make good bowl games for them, Big Ten statement wins.
As we enter the fourth quarter, Michigan up 5, 29-24, Wolverines with the football. This has been fun, Eddie. 2nd and 7 when we come back, but we haven't gotten to see a lot of tight, fun, back-and-forth football games from Michigan this season, which is a very good problem to have as a Wolverine fan, as somebody who covers the team. But
yeah,
this team also, one of the big knocks you can have on them is that what happens when they get into close games. And, well, we've seen that now last week with Penn State and here with Maryland. We're going to see how they respond.
Yeah, you put that exactly correctly. And, you know, outside of the rankings and worrying about where we're going to be at the end of the week before the next game, you got to come out of here with a win. I mean, you can't be worried about that ranking right now. And this Maryland team has, you know, they're going to come at you with everything they have. And I love that we're not sitting here calling 4th string, 5th string players names right now, and that starters are still in, the guys are still fired up, and it's straight back and forth Big Ten football here.
J.J. McCarthy has played in only a handful of fourth quarters this season. Obviously played last week against Penn State. He got some work against Purdue. Before that, I don't believe he'd taken a single fourth quarter snap. And it's good for this team, this offense, to get some experience playing in an environment like this in a tight game. This Maryland team is fired up.
Yeah, this crowd's coming alive for the Maryland fans, and I know Michigan is trying to get hyped up on their sideline too with our support on that side, but it's going to get loud in here, and it's going to be a crazy fourth quarter moving forward.
Terrapins have had an up and down season, but nothing will make this program happier than a big win against the number 3 team in the country. I mean, you talk about bringing in top-end recruits and changing the culture of this program. Nothing does that more than a win against one of the big dogs, and Michigan definitely fits into that category. JJ in the shotgun. Edwards to his right. Play action. JJ going to throw it over the middle. He's got Samaj Morgan again. Morgan working and tackled just shy of the 35.
Yeah, good route there by Samaj Morgan. I mean, he's coming across. He's just kind of slipping underneath these defenders up front, the linebackers, and he's getting across the field, and a very solid option for JJ today.
They're going to spot that ball at the 36, 1st and 10 for Michigan. Corum, the tailback. He's to the left of McCarthy. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. The lone receiver on the right is the tight end Loveland. It's a handoff. Blake Corum. Nowhere to go. Pickup of a couple, but he was swallowed up. A hole emerged for a moment, but these linebackers for Maryland have been flying around, Eddie.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest difference for the Wolverines today is we're 1 block away from a couple breakout plays, and it's just not happening today. Maryland came to play. Those linebackers, as you just mentioned, they're filling the spots that are getting missed by that defensive line.
A lot of energy from this Maryland crowd. Everyone's on their feet here at CQ Stadium. McCarthy, he's got a free runner coming at him, and he's going to be sacked. Jaquan Shepard came on a cornerback blitz and was left unblocked. 3rd and 15.
Yeah, he came out with some gas underneath him. I mean, he ran from 5 yards behind the line and came up, hit JJ a little high, but he got him down in the end.
McCarthy 11 for 19 today, 134 yards, 1 pick, no touchdowns. 3rd and 15. Can McCarthy make a play? Dropping back to pass. Looking. Barner well short of the sticks, and he doesn't have enough to get to the line to gain. Michigan going to have to punt it away now. 4th and 7. And it looks like it'll be Tommy Doman coming onto the field for Sharon Moore.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of play calling there. I think it was too conservative, and that sack really hurt this offensive line and motivation moving down the field after a couple big pickups early in the drive.
So Doman will boot it away from Michigan. Tarheeb Still will receive the punt. Fielded it at the 16. He's got some space. Tarheeb Still works it up just shy of the 35. A good return of about 15 from Still. Quentin Johnson brought him down. But that's good field position now for Maryland at the 33.
And good job there by Doman to get that punt away. He had a little bit of pressure coming from his right-hand side and almost a couple fingertips on the top of that ball, but he got it away, and good tackles midfield by basically the entire defensive side of the Wolverines.
And I believe there was a penalty on the punt. So we'll redo the punt. That'll wipe off what was a pretty good return from Still. Still leads the team with 5 interceptions and is the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. Had 2 picks against the Cornhuskers. And now we're going to head to a media timeout.
Some boos across the stadium here, as we know those media timeouts have infiltrated college football and pro sports within the past couple of years more than ever before. But a little weird there for the Wolverines to have to come back out and kick it, but another chance, and we have a solid punt team out there where maybe we can place them a little deeper into their own side and get a stop with good field positioning coming back again.
For as good as Brad Robbins was last year for Michigan, Tommy Doman has been just as good, if not better.
Yeah, and he's a hometown kid. I mean, he's comes from the Detroit area, and
Orchard Lake St. Mary's product.
Yep, and he loves the team. He was sad his time on the sidelines when Brad Robbins was here and showing off, and now he's passed some of his stats already in his short time as a starter here at Michigan.
So now we just kind of have to sit and wait, Eddie. And 12:05 to go here in the 4th. Michigan's up 5. Maryland's going to get the ball back, presumably, unless we see some trickery here from Sharon Moore. The penalty made it 4th and 2 now for Michigan, but still in your own territory. Doman and company are on the field for Michigan. I don't anticipate some trickery unless Michigan were to run McCarthy and company out there last second. But
yeah, as much as I'd love to see that, I think it's a little smarter to just go with the punt here. Trust your defense that's kind of kept you in this game all day with a little bit lower of an offensive line, so going on for it.
Michigan is in a battle in the 4th quarter for the second time all season. Give up their first 3rd quarter points of the year. We're in week 11, Eddie, as Michigan goes for win number 1,000, trying to be the first program in college football history to hit 1,000. Coming into the season, that was definitely something that was on the minds of this team, this coaching staff, and all the fans. Chance to do that here in College Park. Snap to Doman, and he will punt it away. High kick. And that's going to be into the end zone for a touchback. So, ball at the 20 for Talia Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa going to have an opportunity to take the lead now.
Yeah, and that downwind kind of killed that kick there, but Maryland, I assume, is going to come out firing. They got really nothing to lose now. They're bowl eligible, no really big games coming up other than this game, so they're going to throw everything they have at Michigan, and this defense has to be ready for a little bit of, trick plays or anything moving down this stretch.
We saw Talia Tagovailoa give Michigan a scare earlier in the year last season at the Big House. The Terrapins made it close late this time, trying to get it done at home. Tagovailoa, it's a handoff up the gut. And a good pickup there of about 5. Kobe McDonald on the pickup. Rod Moore was the Michigan Wolverine that brought him down, coming up from that safety spot to deliver the hit.
Yeah, and Maryland's just been better at moving the sticks. They have this passive-aggressive game plan where they can still throw that big pass, but their run game has been solid the past couple weeks.
McDonald still the tailback. 4 receivers, 2 to the left, 2 to the right. Tagovailoa in the shotgun. He'll move McDonald to the left side now. Claps his hands. It's a handoff again. McDonald going to be stopped short of the sticks. 3rd and 2 now. Michigan defense with a chance to get off the field, force a 3 and out. Antoine Littleton checks in for McDonald. We haven't seen Hemby in a little bit here. Big 3rd down and 2. Third and 2. Tagovailoa hands it off. Littleton up the gut. And he's got a second effort to pick up the first down.
Yeah, just a slippery run there. He was short of the sticks there to begin with, and that second effort, like you mentioned, just kind of launched him a yard past the line of gain. So great run there and great effort. You can show the passion is there for this team.
And the Michigan defense had a chance to get off the field, but gives up a 3rd and 2 pickup of 3 to Antoine Littleton. Tagovailoa drops back to pass, throws right, caught. That was Ty Felton, gain of 3.
Good catch there by Ty Felton. I know that ball was tipped by, I couldn't tell which player at the line, but had a weird little spiral coming off of it, so a way to get that completion and pickup of yards there.
That was either Jalen Harrell or Rayshawn Benny that was able to get a hand up on it. 2nd and 8 now for the Terps. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Tailback is McDonald. Dropping back to pass is Talia. Looking left, and it's incomplete. Targeting Felton again. McBurrows on the coverage. A couple of other Wolverines in the area. Junior Colston and Makari Page in there as well. 3rd and 8 now for Michigan, Eddie.
Yeah, that sideline getting loud, getting a little into this game. Want to put some home crowd pressure on them, even though we're at the away game right now.
The Wolverine faithful making some noise here at CQ Stadium. Empty set for Talia. 3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. And flags fly immediately. That's going to be on Maryland, it seems. I think the play clock was running down. They're going to call a false start. So that's a false start. And I believe that was the right guard, Moran.
And
So
the
go ahead, Eddie.
the co-offensive coordinator down there was going nuts. Kevin Sumlin, he was trying to get their attention to snap the ball and get moving, but couldn't do it quick enough.
So that backs the Terps up to 3rd and 13 from the 28. Talia with 1 running back in the backfield. It's Littleton the second. He's in for pass pro. McGregor coming up the middle. Talia is sacked. Braden McGregor and Mason Graham combined to bring him down. And Michigan's going to get off the field. Big time third down sack. Braden McGregor on a stunt came around. And then it was Mason Graham that finished him off. Big time stuff from this Michigan defensive line.
Wolverines needed that. That's going to fire up this offense. It works both ways for this team, and that's definitely going to get them kick-started.
Punt unit on now. It's Spangler to boot it away for Maryland. Thaw pointing. It's a short punt. That's going to be down right at the 50. So Michigan with a short field now, up 5. How about that from the defense?
Yeah, this is what the Wolverines needed. They needed a stop on this defensive side, and now they have the field position where, you can go down a little bit. If you get stopped, okay, you had 3 downwind field goal try. Or you can get the 7 here and kind of put a statement up, and now you run it, you get this crowd into it behind your sideline, and you're kind of going off for it. So the Wolverines kind of have their destiny right here in their hands. It's 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They control the game. If you want to run the clock down a little bit, I wouldn't be mad to see it since you still have the lead, and I assume that's what some of the game plan would be, but get some points on the board. Make this look a little bit more competitive. You don't want to, it's not over yet, but you don't want to fall in the rankings and move down if you do end up winning this game. So make it impressive, and Maryland has made their game plan impressive here today.
And you don't want to talk like this, but for Michigan, the season still lies ahead. Realistically, whatever happens here does not matter in the grand scheme of things. If you beat Ohio State at this point, you're in. Whether you have one loss or you're undefeated, you're going to the Big Ten championship game still, and you're a college football playoff team. I guess at that point, maybe you look at Michigan's strength of schedule, but a win against the number 2 team in the country and against another top 10 team in Penn State likely is more than good enough to put Michigan in the playoff, even with a potential loss. But again, this is a big win for Michigan, and they're going for number 1,000 today.
Yep.
That's a huge marker.
Program history here today, and Maryland wasn't going to let them come in and get 1,000 easily, but the Wolverines, kind of what you were talking on. Next week is kind of the big deal. You can take this loss, but you want to have this momentum. You don't want another thing on the mental, kind of spectrum for these guys here with all the outside distractions as of this moment. So
you want to be firing on all cylinders going into the game against the Buckeyes.
Yeah, that's not one you want to sit back and have some doubts. And, we've had teams in the past that have had some doubts, and we've gotten both sides of the ball, and Ohio State's dealt with that in the past couple years. So moving forward, get out of here with a win. Maybe make a statement here on this drive, score a couple more points. But I know your take on Ohio just as much as I dislike Ohio State, so you kind of got to move forward. You got to build these guys into that. But Maryland is today's objective.
Well, and it gives you somewhat of a taste of what you might see offensively from Ohio State. Michigan hasn't seen a quarterback as good as Talia Tagovailoa all year. And you can make the arguments about whether McCord or Talia, whoever's better, talking about weapons and whatnot, but this passing attack is the best Michigan's seen all season. Penn State gets it done on the ground. Drew Aller's a really talented quarterback, but still has some development that needs to happen before he's one of the best in the conference. And he's looked good against poor competition, but has struggled against Michigan and Ohio State. Talia doing big things today against a good Wolverine defense. 1st and 10, play action. JJ looking downfield. He's going for it all. Cornelius can't haul it in. JJ had Cornelius Johnson running wide open inside the 10.
Yeah,
that should have been an easy 6 for Michigan.
He overran the route just a little bit. That ball floated a little bit in this downwind here, and I just don't think he adjusted back in quick enough with time and was worried about taking a little bit of contact, but he was wide open. I'd love to see another shot like that after some yardage pickup here.
And Michigan got the linebackers to bite on the play action. JJ just overthrew it a touch. 2nd and 10 now. This time it is a handoff to Corum. Corum with a burst of speed picks up about 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, Corum's running hard today. He's not getting the holes that he usually does, and with Donovan Edwards a little bit shaking up here and there, he's running with his head down and getting hard tackles and running through guys all of today.
Zinter was out as a lead blocker to pave the way. 3rd and 6, ball on the 46 of Maryland. JJ claps his hands. It's a handoff. Corum bounces it. Blake Corum going to be stopped short of the line to gain, and another big decision here for Sharon Moore. It's going to be 4th and about 3. It is 4th and 3 from the 43. And it looks like the punt unit is coming on for Michigan. We saw Sharon Moore go for it on 4th and 3 earlier, and Michigan converted. This time, Tommy Doman going to look to pin the Terrapins deep. And this is something we haven't seen often from Michigan on the season. This is typically the range where the Wolverines love to go for it. No Harbaugh on the sidelines, and it's Doman to boot it away. High kick, going to be caught at the 10 by Still. So that's where Talia will take over.
Just one of those games for the Wolverines. We haven't seen it in a while, and, kind of deep down we're having the same feelings of when I watched them in the bowl games, but I just don't think they trust themselves right now, and it's one of those things they got to learn to work completely differently without a head coach here, and you're listening to new instructors, and team players have to kind of step up a little bit more and take more of a leadership role. So just completely overall different Michigan look, and hopefully it doesn't really affect into next week, but I can't say that confidently that it won't moving forward.
And if you're on this Michigan sideline, you're focused on one thing. You're focused on the next 7 minutes and 5 seconds here in College Park, here at CQ Stadium. You can't be thinking about anything else that's going on around the country, any other teams. You're focused on the here and now, or else this Maryland offense will catch you sleeping.
Yeah, and there's no doubt Maryland's going to come out here, and I think they're going to try to control the clock a little bit. But you still have to go down and score those points and put some points on the board if you want a chance to drive this into a win or even a little bit of overtime action here.
So here we go, Eddie. 7:05, Maryland football. We've seen this Michigan defense make some plays. It was Mike Sainer still first in the 3rd quarter with the big interception. Last drive, 3rd and long. It's Braden McGregor and Mason Graham in tandem, get the big-time sack. Who is your pick this time? Who's going to step up and make a play for Michigan? Is it a guy like Sainer still again making a play? Or is it somebody that we haven't really called their name a bunch, like maybe a Jaden McBurrows that's been really seeing some play here in this second half that can step up?
I think this win, if we get out of here with a win, and especially on this drive, take it as a win, it's going to come from that defensive line. They kind of got to get gritty. They got to get in there. Tackles for a loss. Tackles at the line. You can't let these second effort of the running backs just continue to move forward and move the chains. So I don't think so much Maryland. They might shock me. They might come out here and throw the ball like JJ just did. But they're going to go down there. You kind of got to get down there. Tackles for a loss is going to be the key to this drive, or just tackles for no gain. That line of scrimmage should be a boundary for these Wolverines here.
And we've seen Mike Loxley keep it with Talia a couple of times now late in the contest. Ball at their own 10. Hemby back in the game. He's in the pistol. And he's going to be swallowed up at the line of scrimmage. Big Kenneth Grant. Rub the belly, big fella. Big stop there from 78.
Yeah, fantastic tackle there. Just like you and I were just talking about. That starts off the drive on such a high note for these Wolverines.
Kenneth Grant had a huge game against Penn State. Chased down, I believe it was Nick Singleton, on what could have been a long touchdown. He ran him down to make the stop. Talia on 2nd and 9, claps his hands. Dropping back to throw. Talia stepping up in the pocket. Gonna be hit. Gonna go down. Kenneth Grant. Put him to sleep, big fella.
Just has a target on him right now. He's just going after him right at the line of scrimmage and goes 2 tackles for a loss here. Just what the Wolverines ordered.
The sophomore, 6'3", 340, getting downfield in a hurry and wraps up Talia Tungavailoa. Ball at the 2. 3rd and a long 18 for Maryland. You talked about it, Eddie. It was the Michigan defensive front, and it's been Kenneth Grant on this drive. 2 big plays. And a timeout is called. Jalen Harrell got a real good jump on that snap.
Yeah, and these tackles have been big boy tackles. I mean, there's no ankle grabbing here. They're going full body through the player, and this Michigan sideline loves that. That's one of the highlights of this team. Has always been their defense and defensive line, besides their offensive line. I mean, going forward, I mean that looked like a safety to me from very close distance. I think this is a very generous spot for Maryland, but
I think the way he started to go down, his forward progress was about the 1 or the 2, but
yeah. Maryland's in a tough place here. You're down 5. You got to move down the field, and you've moved 8 yards backwards in 2 minutes and just burning clock right now. So interesting to see what the play call is going to be here, and I'm sure these safeties are on high alert for the Wolverines.
well, I think you have to be aggressive here if you're Mike Loxley. There's no real downside to giving up a safety at this point. I mean, obviously, that may sink your chances, but you need to get something down the field. 4 receivers in the game for Maryland. Tungavailoa looking, throwing left side. Felton picked off. Mike Sainristil still, his 2nd of the contest. Well, I guess we were both kind of right, Eddie. It was the defensive line that pinned the Terrapins deep, and then Tungavailoa just floated it up there, and Mike Sainristil still picked off his 2nd one of the day.
Yeah, at this point, we're going to have to buy him a 2nd pair of buffs that he wears permanently. Sanders still just having an incredible season. I see him going high in the NFL draft if he moves on to the NFL coming up, which he should. But
in his last year of eligibility at Michigan, and talk about his story as a Wolverine. Started as a receiver, then got asked to switch over to defensive back, and has been a fantastic DB for the Wolverines.
Yeah, team player all around right there.
A true Michigan man, as Jim Harbaugh might say. JJ under center. Corum, the lone tailback. It's a handoff to Blake. Blake cuts it back and picks up a 1 or 2. So Michigan's got it inside the Maryland 40 now, as the clock ticks down under 5:20. 2nd and 9 from the 38. You need points here, Eddie, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. Obviously, a touchdown is big.
Yeah, and the Wolverines would love to run some clock here, but I think it's going to be a Corum show of hopefully breaking a tackle here and moving away.
5-point lead for Michigan. A field goal makes it 8. JJ looking downfield. Great protection. McCarthy rolling out. Going to tuck it and run. A flag flies. Going to guess this is going to be a hold.
Good decision making there. I don't see him pull it that late into a play. He usually forces something, so I like that from JJ.
And they're going to get Trente Jones on the hold here. That'll back up Michigan. Clear hold. Kellen Wyatt, the sophomore, was working on Jones, and he got grabbed pretty clearly. So that'll back Michigan up 10 yards to make it a long 2nd and 19. Ball at the Maryland 48. So all of a sudden, Michigan was on the edge of field goal range, almost sure to come away with points. Now 2nd and 19. They've got a long way to go. Edwards, the tailback. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. JJ drops back to pass. Looking, got Loveland over the middle. And That was punched out. Incomplete. Who else other than Shepard? Jaquan Shepard's been fantastic today for Maryland. Had the big sack on the last possession for the Wolverines.
Yeah, and I think JJ just took the wrong read there. He had time and kind of panicked, thinking that he didn't have the pocket that he had. So I'd like to see him take his time here and try to throw something close to the sticks.
Big 3rd and 19. 2 receivers on each side. Edwards the tailback. Terrapins bring 3. Good pressure off the edge. JJ steps up, throws, and nearly picked off. Looking for Tyler Morris. And a diving effort there. That was a great look, and McCarthy had it knocked away by Donnell Brown.
Yet again, we find ourselves 50-yard line or just inside of it with Tommy Doman coming back out again. So I think there's some things to work on this week with the Wolverines, and I think you just kind of got to get over this gap of the midfield yardage here.
And both the tackles on that last play got beat Eddie flat out. JJ had to step up and get that away at the last second, and there was never really a chance. Doman's punt, end over end kick. That looks like a good one. It's going to bounce and drop inside the 1. Tommy Doman putting on a clinic. That ball is marked inside the 1-yard line. How about that from Tommy Doman? He has had a lot of faith put in him by Sharon Moore today, Eddie, and paying it back in full.
Yeah, and Maryland's going to find themselves in a very familiar position here at their own goal line, but you can't give enough credit to Tommy Doman. He stuck the course out. He wrote it out behind Brad Robbins. He learned from one of the greatest and now pretty much an NFL lock for the rest of his career. But, I mean, that was one of the more impressive punts I've seen. The side spin once it hit the ground, just to sit on the 1-yard line and wait for the Wolverines to come gobble it up. So,
I mean, that wasn't even a great special teams play. That was all Tommy Doman.
That was Doman. And to judge that downwind here when it's been gusting all day, that's perfection. And I think Wolverines defensively need to build on that here. Do the same thing they did last drive. Let's get another quick 3 and out, maybe waste some time, 2 minutes off of this, and give the ball back to yourself with a fighting chance to just run this one out, maybe score a little bit more, pack it on. But you can't give up points this late in the game with such little time left, and Maryland's almost bound if they score here to use up all this time because they got to move 99 yards at this point now.
I mean, on the flip side, the legend of Talia Tungavailoa, if he's able to put together a 99-yard touchdown drive to knock off the number 3 team in the country, 2-time reigning Big Ten champions, would be unbelievable to cap off his career here in College Park at CQ Stadium, excuse me.
Yeah, and he's been special for this program. I know, coming into it, he was a little unsure, not so much a top choice for some good quarterbacks here, but he found a home here, and I think the program kind of was formed around him, which you don't see too often in college football where you go out for a quarterback and form the rest of the program. It's more of a professional sports thing, so he found a home here, and he's going to have a lot of records and career-setting days that are going to live on for a long time here at this stadium and at this university. But, I mean, he could add on to it today for all I know. I sure hope not, but wish nothing but the best for him, and I have a feeling he's going to move forward into the next part of his career well-rounded.
Ball at the 1. Tommy Doman can't overstate how good of a punt that was. Spun it down right inside the 1-yard line. Perfectly judged. You talked about it. The wind's been blowing today. Punting with the wind. Kind of clubbed down there, if you will. And stuck it. Here we go. Talia standing in the middle of his own end zone. Ball on the 1. Kenneth Grant got a lot of pressure the last series. It's just a handoff to McDonald up the gut, picks up a handful.
Yeah, and kind of to your point earlier, Maryland, there's no fear here about a safety. I mean, you're up by 5. If you give up another 2, so be it. You can go down with timeout and score. So
you need the points. There's
yeah.
there's no downside right now. Ball out to the 3-yard line. Make it the 4. Talia drops back to pass. Pressure coming in his face. Just forced to get rid of it. And there was no one home. Michigan sideline really wants an intentional grounding flag. I don't think they're going to get it. Ty Felton was somewhat in the area trying to make his case. Officials gathering to talk this one over. Talia definitely in the pocket, and here comes the flag. In the end zone, that's going to be a safety. And an intentional grounding in the end zone, that's a safety. The Michigan defense, the whole offensive line was beat. The Michigan defensive front completely collapsed the pocket. Tungavailoa just had to get rid of it, and it bounced about 8 yards shy of Ty Felton, who was claiming to be the intended receiver in the area. We saw this in the Super Bowl about a decade ago between the Giants and the Patriots. Tom Brady just let one uncork from the end zone 20 yards away from a receiver, and that was flagged for intentional grounding. So Michigan picks up 2. The second safety of the game. Are we watching Iowa play football?
Yeah.
31-24. Somehow in a game with 2 safeties, the score is a very normal 31-24.
Just unforeseen there from Maryland. I mean, we talked about it, but was not trying to talk it into effect there. But Maryland is just defeated on this sideline now. They didn't agree with the call, even though he was in the tackle box in the pocket there, and Michigan's fired up. They're gonna dig in here, and
we got a text from William in the broadcast, who's up in the press box now, saying that there were rumblings that security was kind of beefing up to anticipate a field storm from the student section. And since then, it's been Kenneth Grant tackle for no gain, Kenneth Grant sack, a punt. Then Michigan punts it away, puts Talia on the 1, and then a safety. 31-24. Jack Howe is going to kick off on the safety, and it's a squib. Joe Taylor, I believe, was the special teamer that got his hands on it. And he was. So Joe Taylor on special teams makes a big play to fall on that one, and Michigan now has it at the 47.
And Maryland, a lot of chirping after the play there, but you got to save that and just come out here and make a performance, not trying to get any extra penalties out of this for the Wolverines.
Eddie, this is the first game against an unranked team that Michigan has looked semi-human. One-score game here late in the fourth quarter, but the Wolverines with the football, 3:36 to go. Michigan on top, 31-24. JJ turns and hands it off to Blake Corum. Corum going to fall forward for a gain of about 6.
Yeah, and going back to your point prior to the play about semi-human, as a fan, you never want to see that. You want to see a dominant team such as a Georgia, Ohio State, ourselves. But as a coach and from a perspective of someone who's very invested in the team, I like it. It's a learning experience. As long as you can get through it and move forward, I don't have a problem with it. It's when you keep it this close with some teams where the lines were set very high to start.
Michigan going to try to just salt this game away. 2nd and 5, ball on the 42. It's a handoff. Corum again trying to wiggle his way through a pickup of about 4. Going to be 3rd and short. 3rd and 2 now from the 39. Clock has ticked under 3 minutes. Closing in on 2:30. 3rd and 2 for Michigan. Got to anticipate this ball is going to stay on the ground. 2 timeouts for the Terrapins, 2 timeouts in the back pocket for Sharon Moore in Michigan. Jumbo package. They bring Bredesen in motion. JJ handoff up the middle. Corum, second effort. He didn't get it. And a third effort there from Michigan, but that's still going to be short of the line to gain. And so now that'll bring up 4th and 1. Great push from that entire Maryland front.
Timeout Rutgers there from the head official. A little apology for Maryland at the end of that, but I don't hate the ground play. Kill some time off of it, but the Terps are going to come back fighting. They used their first timeout here. They got 2 more remaining. Minute 55.
They have 1 timeout left.
1 timeout
They used
remaining.
one earlier.
So that early timeout may hurt on this drive, but they need the 7 here, possibly even the 8 if they're that confident. But is there enough time, you think, Reagan? Oh, Kelin. A lot of roommates bouncing around here today.
4th and 1 now for Michigan, ball on the 38. Under 2 minutes to go. The situation is if Michigan gets it, they can run the clock out and win the game. If the Terps get the stop, they have just under 2 minutes to go, about 60 yards, and they need 6. They need 7 to tie, 8 to win. Michigan going to go for it. Offense on the field. 2 receivers split out. Handoff. Corum. Did he get there? Fighting for it. This is going to be a close. Depends on the spot. Couple of Terrapins waving no way. Trente Jones thinks he has it.
This might be a measurement here. I'm not sure.
This is real close. Credit to this Maryland front. So we get another look at it here. A couple of those Terrapin linebackers got in there to make a play. King Basote up front has been dominant all game as they bring out the chains. Going to be real close. Ruben Hippolyte in there as well to make initial contact on Corum. And Michigan's got it. First down, Wolverines. And ladies and gentlemen, that may be our ball game. And so they're going to go under the hood here to make sure. It's a tough play to overturn, Eddie. A call on the field, the spot of the ball in a situation like this where it's just a big scrum in the middle and there's no clear angle. There's not going to be a clear shot from a camera of where Corum's body is, where the ball is. And so you don't often see these calls overturned, but anything's possible.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult. The sticks have already moved, so you can't really move the spot and go back for a remeasurement. And you're in a scrum there, so Corum's going to be bottom pile. It's going to be hard to see, and Maryland would love a little bit of a move back. I think they thought they had the ball maybe a half a yard further back from that spot, and it was a little push forward from that spot. But if, like you said, if Michigan gets the ball here with a fresh set of downs, that's pretty much game over for this Maryland offense and defensive sides that have both been very impressive today.
Well, just with the way the clock works, under 2 minutes to go, there's 1:53 on the game clock. That's enough time for Michigan to kneel it out. And the call's confirmed. First down, Michigan. And the Wolverines will trot out in victory formation. Don't believe they need another first down.
I'm going to run an actual play here instead of victory formation. .152 and not set up in victory formation, so we'll see what they elect to do. 1st and 10 from the 37. Obviously going to keep it on the ground. They're going to let this play clock
get all the way down to 1 before they snap it. Snap it at about 4 seconds. Corum fighting for a couple of yards.
He's trying to strip that ball out of there and twisting Corum around. That's why I don't like that non-victory formation there. I get the timeout is coming up, but you got a fresh set of downs. Don't risk it with Corum ahead of a big week.
And so I think it's about a 7-second difference that they're going to be short of in terms of being able to just salt it away. So maybe they want to really make sure they get this, at least work a couple extra seconds off the clock each play instead of a quick kneel down. 87 seconds to go, 2nd and 6, ball on the 33. Jumbo set in for Michigan again. Same formation, 2 receivers split out to the right, and then a couple of extra offensive linemen, some tight ends in there for Michigan. Another handoff to Corum. Corum cuts back, pickup of 2. And that'll do it right there. Big late hit on Trente Jones will set up a first down for Michigan, and that will absolutely seal it.
And you can see the frustration from him, but also just the disappointment in himself for not keeping discipline.
And that was on Still, the star corner, who just came in and laid a late hit on Trente Jones, and that, with 1:17 to go, will set up a first down for Michigan. I don't think that was on for. That was not on Still.
I believe number 40. He came off the field, head down.
And Beat Ohio chants echo throughout CQ Stadium as Michigan has done it here. Victory formation ahead of win number 1,000. And a little tussling between these two units, the Michigan offensive line and the Maryland defensive line, but Michigan just needs to run one more play, and then they will be 11-0 heading into the game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And Eddie, with this one final kneel down, the Michigan fans here are absolutely into it. They don't need to run another play. That'll do it. Michigan, as the clock hits 0, 1,000. The first team in college football history with 1,000 wins in program history. The Wolverines are the first to get it done.
Yeah, impressive stuff all night from the Wolverines, and they have a hard-fought game for the 1,000th win. I mean, it's something important to say, and moving forward, you know, we're going for 1,000 and many more, but the Wolverines put on a show tonight, and definitely for this crowd. They made them earn it, and they deserve it. And this crowd is loving it. A bunch of signs out there for the 1,000th win, and Maryland showing a little bit of support there with some claps.
And Eddie, that'll do it from College Park. Michigan 31. The Terps put up 24. A valiant effort from Tungavailoa and this Maryland squad. The defense made some stands late, but the Michigan defense stood even taller, really clamping down late in the fourth quarter, snuffing out any hopes of an upset from the Maryland Terrapins. And Michigan will head in undefeated against the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 2 and number 3 in all the land, to go to the Big Ten Championship game and the college football playoff next Saturday at noon live from Ann Arbor. I'll be on the call along with Neil Sinha and Daniel Olson for WCBN Sports. But Eddie, let's wrap it up here from CQ Stadium. What most impressed you with this Michigan win today?
I think it's just dedication. They know what's coming up, and they know how much this win would mean moving forward. And Maryland gave them a run for their money, but this defensive side of the ball for the Wolverines definitely stepped up and took care of business today. And that was the most impressive part. Mikey Sanders still not enough praise. Tommy Doman on the punting side of the ball as well. He gets the shout out.
Give me your 3 stars of the game, Eddie.
Yeah, I'll go Doman 1. I'll put it out there. Sanders still, I'll go 2. I just have a special love for Doman, and I think you got to put Corum in the 3 spot. He picked up his yards, and he definitely put in the work on the ground today. What are your top 3 for today?
I tend to agree. I think you can't not have Doman and Sainra still in there. I'd go Kenneth Grant 3, though.
I could see that.
I was just so impressed with him down the stretch in this game. He's really impressive. Michigan's going to lose Chris Jenkins to the NFL draft this offseason, but the Wolverines are absolutely loaded in that interior. I mean, Michigan's going to lose a lot across the board in terms of talent to the next level, but this Michigan interior defensive line is elite. And with Mason Graham, Rayshawn Benny, and Kenneth Grant coming back next season, that's going to be a formidable unit. With that, we're going to wrap up our broadcast live from College Park. For myself, for Eddie, for Jake, and for William on the first half, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to catch us same time next week live from Ann Arbor as the Wolverines take on the Buckeyes to try to punch their ticket back to the Big Ten Championship game and the college football playoff. We're going to leave you, as we always do, with a good night, and go Blue.